On 8th July, the Commission sent you a request for submission of the 5-year declaration assets and personal interest. On the 15th of July, you submitted your 5-year declaration. The Commission also asked candidates to voluntarily complete and submit an ethics questionnaire, and you did so on 4th of July. The Commission sent you 3 rounds of questions on 13 September, 14 November, and 25 November, respectively. You were asked a total number of 45 questions, including 106 subparts, and 42 of the questions included a request for further documentation. According to Article 3, Paragraph 4 of the evaluation rules of the Commission, a candidate may not provide information, documents, or other materials during the hearing if the Commission requested these earlier and the candidate did not provide them within the time specified, unless, of course, the candidate provides sufficient justification for not providing the information as requested. In this context, the Commission received a number of documents from you yesterday. Of course, the Commission has not been able yet to study all the materials, but in light of the provision I just quoted, I would like to invite you, before we go to the discussions and the questions itself, to give you the opportunity to explain why you have submitted those documents at this moment. Based on that, the Commission has discussed this matter, of course, before starting the hearing. Based on that, we will see how to proceed with the hearing, but I would first like to give you the opportunity to explain why you submitted these documents at this very stage. So, Mr. Sandu, you have the floor.
Hello, I am Victor Sandu. Regarding the documents I submitted by email, I'd like to inform you that on Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I received the materials from the Commission. So on Sunday and Saturday, I studied them. And there was a certificate attached to those materials regarding the issuance of a policy that was very suspicious to me because it was never contracted, but we will discuss this aspect. I saw it is included in the question. So Monday, first opening of business, I submitted requests to several institutions that have competence to issue and to document the issuance of insurance policies. The first one I did to a state authority to see I paid the fee for receiving this information service, and I attached a screenshot. It was on Monday at something past 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Sorry, not Monday, Tuesday. I filed the request on Monday, and on Tuesday at 16-something hours, I received the answer. Then I made 2 requests to 2 institutions that were mentioned in that answer, and I got answers only yesterday from them, and I also provided a screenshot of the email at what time I received those answers. And as soon as I received them, I made a request and I forwarded them to the Commission so that they will be part of this. This is new evidence. I did not know about them. I generally was not aware of this. And this will prove certain aspects that I would like to list today.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the explanation. What the Commission will do is that we will continue with the hearing. We have, of course, prepared a number of questions for you, and we will continue with those questions. You will provide answers, and after the hearing and when assessing the case, we will look into whether those materials, if you could have been submitted earlier, as a result of which we may decide not to use it, or whether we see that the argumentation that you just provided was a justification, and we will take that into consideration when taking our decision. If there is an agreement with you, and I don't see any comments from my colleagues, then let's proceed. And this will mean that I will give the floor to Victoria Henley. She will lead the questions for you in relation to this case. So, Victoria, please, you have the floor.
Thank you. And I hope you can hear me.
Yep.
Great. Good afternoon, Judge Sandu. The first issue I would like to discuss with you has to do with the purchase and importation of 20 vehicles in 2009. You had no declared income in 2007 to the State Tax Service. Your total declared income to State Tax Service in 2008 and 2009 was roughly 7,600 lei. Between 2010 and 2014, you had no officially declared sources of income. In 2009, you imported to Moldova 20 vehicles from Italy and Germany at a total cost of roughly 520,000 lei, including 390,000 lei reported value to customs and 132,000 lei customs taxes. All vehicles were later registered at the Directorate of Transport registration in your name and thereafter were sold between 2009 and 2013. You stated that the beneficiary de facto owner of these vehicles was your former brother-in-law, and that you were helping him in his motorcycle and automobile sales and repair business, Motolori LLC, established in 2008. You did not provide the sales purchase contracts regarding these 20 vehicles as requested by the Commission, stating that there were no contracts and that the vehicles were sold instead through a power of attorney. You provided only the statement of to the effect that all vehicles imported in 2009 by you were purchased de facto and were owned by him, and that you only helped with the importing. According to Mr. statement, you were not paid for your help. According to State Tax Service records, your only declared income in 2008 and 2009 was from Motolori LLC, but only in the amounts of 1,700 lei in 2008 and 5,900 lei in 2009. Neither you or Mr. provided any other evidence of Mr. rights with respect to the mentioned cars. 10 of the 20 vehicles were sold in 2010, and aside from the 5,900 lei of declared income from Motolori in 2009, you did not declare any income from Motolori or from the sales of the cars from 2010 to 2013. So now I'm going to ask you some questions. Please confirm that you purchased 20 vehicles in Italy and Germany in 2009 and imported them to Moldova at a total cost of roughly 520,000 lei.
Nu confirm.
I do not confirm.
Can you tell me what it is about it that you do not confirm?
Da. Dumneavoastră ați adresat întrebarea dacă eu
You
confirm
ask
că am achiziționat și am
if I
importat.
confirm that
Eu am
I
explicat
purchased
în-
and
în-
imported.
în
I
răspunsul
explained
referit
in
așa,
my
prima rândă
answers
că
in
și
round
acolo
1,
aspectul
round
dat.
2 about this aspect.
Achitarea, achiziționarea nu am
Payment
efectuat-o
purchase
eu în general.
was not done by me.
Eu acum o să explic în
I will
general perioada aceea.
explain that period
Eu
of
am
time.
fost persoană doar
I
care
was
participat
the
la
person that took part in customs
care a plecat la
clearance,
postul vamal
was
și
going
le-a
to the
devamat.
customs point
Astfel,
and obtaining customs clearance
s-a
for
devamat în numele meu,
them.
deoarece eu eram
It was done on
prezent.
my name because I was present
Dar
there.
careva bani
But
de achitat, de a
money
primi
for
utilul de vânzare,
payment,
eu
to
nu
getting
am
something from the
percepționat, nu am
sales,
primit în general.
nothing like that. I did not receive anything.
Were you involved in arranging for the purchase?
Eu am fost implicat în
I was involved in
organizarea
organizing the customs clearance.
aspectul doar de vamare care se
Only
efectua la
customs
frontieră de
clearance that
stat.
was done at the state border.
În certificatul eliberat de
In the
serviciu
certificate
vamal,
issued by the
s-a observat că a fost
customs
scris
service, it
unde a avut
says
loc de
expressly
vamare.
where
Și
the
dacă
customs
observați,
clearance
toate
took
au avut
place.
loc la
And you can
frontieră de
see
stat,
they
nu
all
în
took
Chișinău.
place at the state border, not in Chișinău
Dacă
municipality.
doriți, eu pot să
If you
dacă
want
mai
to,
sunt întrebări,
if there are
putem
any
mai întrebări și ulterior o
questions,
să fac
let's
o
go
analiză
through them and then
a
I will
situației care a fost
make a
în
broad
perioada aceea.
analysis of the situation that was happening at that time.
Okay. When did you go to pick up the vehicles to bring them to the border to import them?
Nu. Vehiculul erau importate la
The
frontieră.
vehicles were imported at the border. I was coming to the border only to pay the customs duties, and I didn't even pick them up. The transporters were bringing them to Chișinău. Let me explain the situation, how it was in 2008.
În 2008,
So in 2008, in that period, I was a student.
după cum ați văzut în
As you
declarație,
saw in my
în răspunsul meu la prima etapă,
answers to the first round, under section parents, my father was abroad in Spain since 1999.
Era pe teritoriul Republicii Moldova
He
doar
was
o
on
dată în an,
territory of
era
Moldova
concediu.
only
Ulterior,
1 month a
urmează
year.
o perioadă concediu.
Later on, during his vacation, later on twice a year, but also only. I provided the passports of my mother, showing that in 2008, 2009, she was crossing the state border very often. She was spending 3-4 weeks in Moldova, and then 3-4 weeks she was abroad. I mentioned where, for how long, and I also attached the pages with the stamps from crossing the border. During that time, I was living alone. Chișinău suburbs. My sister was married at that time already. At the time, there was no telecommunication systems or apps. We were talking to our parents only by phone once a week. And that's the request.
Judge Sandu,
Yes.
I would appreciate it if you could answer the question that I've asked. We will give you an opportunity to provide additional information, but there's certain facts that I would like to clarify before we get further explanation from you, just so that we understand certain predicates as we go forward. Were you involved in traveling to the location where the cars that were being purchased were and transporting them back to Moldova?
Referitor la traversarea frontierei.
With respect to crossing the border, in case of motorcycles, they were being brought into the country. I did not cross the border, except for 1 or 2 cases I don't remember, when I traveled together with my former brother-in-law by truck, and we brought it by truck, and we were together. But I don't remember if it was until 2008 or after. So all motorcycles that were brought during the time, it can be checked. During that time, I was always on the territory of Moldova. With respect to the vehicles, 2 vehicles of my parents, I personally imported them, and the third one, that belongs to me. So it was 3 altogether vehicles between 2008 and 2014 that belonged to my family. I personally crossed the border with them. I bought them personally. Personally imported them.
Those were not in the 20 vehicles that you were handling the customs paperwork for your brother-in-law, correct?
Da, nu erau parte acestor
Yeah, they were not part of that, indeed.
mijloace.
Okay, so is it your position that you did not travel outside of Moldova to go and retrieve cars that were being imported in 2009 for your brother-in-law?
Nu, dacă o să doriți, o să
No,
explic
if you
acum
want, I
pentru că
can
acum aveam o
explain
procedură,
how
procedură
the
propriu-zis.
procedure was working.
Okay, well, why don't, and if you could just try to stay on the topic of what involvement you had in the obtaining the cars, anything having to do with the purchase or payment for them, anything having to do with the transport of them to Moldova, that would be very helpful.
Nu avem tangență cu aspectul ăsta.
I did not have any connection with that.
O să vă explic cum avea loc
If you
procesul.
want, I can explain you how the process was working. Can I do that now, or do you want me to do that later?
Yes, and please stay focused on the process.
Da, deci la proces, referitor la
Process.
motociclete.
Regarding motorcycles,
Fostul meu cumnat
my former
a lucrat
brother-in-law
mulți ani de zile
worked for
în
several
afara
years
țării și
outside
vorbea limba
the country,
italiană.
in Italy.
Astfel,
He was
în
speaking
perioada
Italian.
2000
So
și început, când dumnealui a revenit în Republica Moldova,
when
a fost
he
printre
came
primele
back to
persoane
Moldova,
care conducea
2000s,
motociclete sportive.
he
Mai
was
mult
one of the
decât
first
era și
people
membru unui
driving
club
sports
sportiv de
motorcycles, and he
motociclete.
was a member of a
Astfel, foarte mulți persoane în orașul
motorcycle
cunoșteau
club.
și care
So
doreau
many people in the city knew him and who wanted to purchase motorcycles contacted him. Moreover, in 2008, he started a company that was dealing in selling accessories, spare parts, and repairs of motorcycles. I don't remember the period or specifically which of them. I purchased personally for him. Others, he purchased at the request of other people. Why did people contact him for that? In Moldova, there was no shop that would sell, no store that would sell sports motorcycles. Moreover, most of them were imported from outside the country. And given he knew Italian, he was visiting a website in Italy, and I can give you the name of the site. As soon as he found a motorcycle that was damaged, usually a good price was for damaged goods, he was calling, talking to them, negotiating, because he spoke Italian. Subsequently, after they agreed on a certain price, because at that point there was no WhatsApp or other messengers, it wasn't possible to send photos. So after that, he was contacting the network of transporters that was very widespread in Moldova with European countries, because a significant share of Moldova has emigrated to Italy and other European countries. And subsequently, talking with people responsible for Moldova, they were already talking to people who were the transporters who were already in Italy. They were coming to the house of that person. Usually, these motorcycles were bought from individuals. They were coming, talking by phone if the description is real, the description given by the seller is real. The money he was given in Moldova to the person responsible for that route. And then in Italy, the driver of that route was paying, and he was picking the motorcycle, paying for it. He took the original registration document, and in advance, by phone, they agreed for the motorcycle to be deleted from that registration. They were getting the certificate of unregistration, and I received that he paid the money and got the motorcycle. And then that driver was bringing it Sunday, whatever, in the center of transports where everyone was circulated. There they were packaged and put into trucks with all parcels that people, not with packages that people were sending to Moldova. If you look at the time when it was going through customs clearance, all these transporters, drivers were starting Saturday, Sunday from European countries and getting to the customs Monday night or Tuesday. It was not known when exactly that transport unit would get to the customs. So at the request of my parents, who asked me to be involved, to spend time with them, after university, after lessons at university, I was spending the rest of the day with them, with my sister and brother-in-law. So I declared that they had a baby at that time. And the customs clearance was taking place at the state border. At the time when the means of transport were getting to the border. It could be between midnight and 6 in the morning, depending on what time, it depended on how long the queue at the customs. And the customs clearance was done in a live queue, we can say. Who was, well, first in, first served. At his request, I was going to the customs. He was giving me money, and I was only paying the customs duties. After I paid the customs duties, I was not taking anything else, not even the documents for the motorcycle, because they were given to the driver of the truck with the bus where the motorcycle was for him to be able to bring it to Chișinău. And then he was going and taking it from the distribution center. My only activity was to help my family members by going there at night and performing these actions.
Okay, so what documents were submitted to customs for the importation of the 20 vehicles?
Always, it was mandatory to show the original registration certificate, mandatory the certificate of deletion from registration from the EU, and the receipt confirming that the seller got money, the buyer, no, sorry, the person got money for it, and they sold this motorcycle.
And whose name appeared on the receipts confirming that the payment was made?
I don't have them now, I don't remember. Usually, I don't know, I said in the answers, they are all kept at the Public Services Agency and at the Customs Service. During the time when you ask questions, I always had only 3-4 days. I didn't have enough time to obtain such receipts. They are all kept at the Customs Service. I don't remember in each and every case who was written in there. It's just for the clearance. According to the law, it is mandatory to be present for a person on whose name this gets customs clearance or a person by proxy. I was not obtaining this proxy because we did not know the VIN numbers of every motorcycle. In order to make proxy, a power of attorney from notary, you needed all data, but at that time there was nothing, no WhatsApp, everything was done through the phone. So the most important was the model and make year, because there were certain limits for the imports to the country.
Okay, but all of the vehicles were later registered at the Directorate of Transport registration in your name, isn't that correct?
Yes, and I'll explain you why. According to the law in force, if a vehicle got customs clearance and customs duties were paid, then the primary registration, is how it's called, where you get registration number and number plate, this primary registration can be done only on the name of the person who paid, on whose name customs duties were paid, or on the spouse of this person. So if it was, for instance, customs clearance is on mother, but the primary registration is on the father, like this is the only way to make the registration on another name than of who paid for customs clearance, customs duties. After the primary registration, at the next registration, it can be transferred to the name of any other person.
But if your name was not on the receipt, since you were not involved in the purchase of the vehicles, how could then the cars be registered in your name?
In the following way, I don't know each specific case. Moreover, I don't even know. I didn't even see some of them because they are all in trucks in a way. I don't remember them. The receipts, even if they were on the name of the drivers, they were making a receipt and parallel on my name as well, saying that I am the beneficiary who is going to pay the customs duties. But I don't have them. 14 years passed. They should all be stored with the customs service or the public services agency.
All right, and you did inform the commission that the de facto owner of the vehicles was Jorge, former brother-in-law, and that you were helping him in the motorcycle business, correct?
Yes, that's true.
And why did you register the cars in your name at Customs and at the Directorate of Transport registration rather than in Mr. W's name or in the name of Motor Lorry LLC if they were the de facto owners?
We need to make a separation. The company, the LLC, was not dealing in import of cars. The company had a different activity. As far as I remember, it was selling spare parts, accessories, and doing repairs. And selling.
Whose name?
I explained why, because I was the one. When he was going to the border for customs clearance, it was done on his name. You can check the list of customs clearances on his name, and you'll see he has a lot too. When I was not able to go, he was doing that. Sound check, can you hear me? Did the others hear me?
Now I can hear you. Could we start over? Could he start his answer again, please?
Da, la ce etapă? Deci, referitor de ce erau indicat pe mine, dar
So why it was on my name and not on my relative at that stage? I would like to inform you. You can check his customs declarations. You can see that he also had vehicles that got customs clearance on his name. When I was going there at his request because he was unable, the customs clearance was done on my name. When I could not go, or he was going of his own volition, the customs clearance was in his name.
But if the receipt wasn't in your name, how could you then do the customs paperwork and register it in your name?
Am explicat că
I explained I don't remember each individual case. If on the phone, from very beginning, it was said that Victor will come for the customs clearance, the driver was coming before making this receipt. When did you arrive? When will you arrive? Monday. Make it on Victor's name. If it was not on my name, with the driver, we're making another receipt saying that he is transferring this vehicle to me. Personally, I did not take part in any transactions taking place in Italy. Moreover, I was not part of that communication. Everything was in Italian, and I don't speak Italian.
Okay. So just so that I understand the scope of your work, you were not involved in traveling to where the vehicles were located or driving them back to Moldova. Is that correct?
nu.
So, yes, I was not.
All right. And you were just handling the importation paperwork and inspections at customs. That is correct?
Da.
Yes.
And you were involved in registering the cars in Moldova, correct?
Ulterior, ca să aibă loc înregistrarea
Subsequently, for the primary registration,
se eliberează certificat de
when the registration certificate is issued, yes, temporarily, yes, I was doing that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Referitor la registrare, da,
With respect to registration, I was part of registration because according to the law, I was obliged to take part in the primary registration.
Okay. And I'd just like to draw your attention to your response to question number one and round number one of the questions regarding your activities in connection with the work. And you told the commission that the beneficiary de facto owner of the vehicles was your brother-in-law, and that you were a student and having free time, you were helping him in his work. You stated, moreover, I had temporary residence in the Kingdom of Spain. I could travel to the countries of the European Union without the need to have a visa. Thus, at the request of the sister's ex-husband, I personally drove and brought to the country certain transport units purchased by him in Italy and Germany. And that's different than what you're telling us today. Can you explain why you've informed the commission earlier that you were involved in the transport of the vehicles, and why today you're saying you had no involvement in it?
Deoarece, uitați-vă, în general nu este diferență în răspunsul.
There is no difference in answers. When you asked the question in round one, it was a general question. Like you did not speak of every individual vehicle here in the list. Round one, like 20 vehicles. In 2009, I want to say what I told the previous commission before. So the vehicles were separate in two categories, cars and motorcycles. About cars, some cars belonging to my sister, my parents, three, and to my brother-in-law. Yes, personally, I went to Europe and I imported those cars. Every car I can discuss about each of them, and I informed you that in 2008-2009, citizens of Moldova could not go to EU without a visa. In 2004, since there was a reunion in the Kingdom of Spain, a reunion with my parents and me, I, as a minor, was given a permanent residence in Spain. So based on that residence permit, I could travel freely on the entire territory of the EU. And if the car, vehicle but car, if the car was for my family, I was going personally driving it back to Moldova. But in case of motorcycles, because we never had 20 cars, in case of motorcycles, I explained, all motorcycles were purchased in a damaged condition. You couldn't drive them. And if you can see a difference in answers, it's just because in round one, the question was very general. There was no list of every means of transport. It was a very general question. And in general, I also give answer in general terms.
If you had had a power of attorney from Mr. At Customs, could you not have done the customs paperwork and subsequently registered the cars in his name?
În ce sens procură?
What do you mean power of attorney?
Nu, poate corect, nu a fost tradus corect.
Power of
Dați
attorney.
încă o dată.
Yeah, Victoria, could you repeat the question?
So Victoria, could you
He
repeat
asked
the
if you can
question
repeat
because
the
he
question.
doesn't really understand what do you mean power of attorney.
Okay, if you had had a power of attorney to act on Mr.'s behalf at Customs, wouldn't that have permitted you to do the paperwork in his name and subsequently to register the cars in his name rather than in your name?
În cazul în care aveam procură,
If I had the power of attorney, yes, of course. Because when I was going outside the country to buy the country, I would not know at that point what car I will buy. So, and the power of attorney I can make only in Moldova, or maybe I don't understand something.
procură nu am avut, v-am explicat de ce.
I didn't have power of attorney because I could not know in advance what kind of car I'm going to buy. But power of attorney is something that you have based on a concrete good, like a concrete car. You cannot just make a general power of attorney.
Correct, but if Mr. was purchasing these vehicles, specific vehicles, and having them brought to the border, and you were going to the border to do the customs paperwork, if you had had a power of attorney from Mr. would that have permitted you to do the customs paperwork in his name rather than in your name?
În cazul procedurii de perfectare procurii, tot
So when it comes to making a power of attorney, it also takes time, and you have to have documents in your hands to present to the notary. And we were making this purchase, so he was making this purchase, and he was giving me all the information only on the phone. He would not give me documents. And we would have as intermediary transportation companies. And in order to make a power of attorney, I would have to bring the document of the motorcycle in this case. But at that time, all the documents were physically in Italy. And for example, we would agree, so the agreement would be made on Thursday, and the information would be available, and everything was available by Sunday. But at that time, we didn't have WhatsApp or anything of this kind to send information like photos or anything.
In his statement to the commission, Mr. stated that you received no payment for your help. Is that correct?
Da.
Yes, it's correct.
And you also told the commission that you received no compensation, correct?
Desigur,
Of course.
desigur, noi eram membri familiei.
We were family.
On the occasions when you did travel to either purchase and or pick up vehicles, Who paid for your travel expenses?
Dumnealui, deci,
He paid.
dați-mi, că spun mijloc de transport concret.
Let's talk about a concrete car. For example, the BMW. This car belonged to him, and he actually owned this for 3 years. For a period of 3 years. He found this car on internet and he agreed with the seller. Then he had to go to Germany to buy it, and he couldn't do that from some technical reasons, and he asked me to go. He gave me the money, the price of the car, also for custom duties. And at that period of time, I was very young, and I would make on paper every single expense I would have. For example, I ate food and I spent money for the food, this amount. For transportation expenses, for everything I needed, I would make this list of expenses. I would gather the bills, and I would show him, and I would get the money back. Because I wanted to see to be as correct as possible in my relations with the family members.
Okay, and well, focusing on the BMW car, since Mr. had identified a specific car and gave you the funds, had you taken a power of attorney with you, you could have done the customs paperwork and then registered the car in his name rather than your name, correct?
If I would make the power of attorney where? In Moldova?
Yes, to go.
How would I make power of attorney in Romanian language in Germany? How would be that possible? And I didn't even know the code, the personal code of the car, the identification number. I had only the photos. And the most important there, it was to know the year, because we had a limit on how many years a car can be imported to Moldova, and what is the capacity of the engine, because based on that, we would pay custom duties, taxes. And in that period of time, we didn't have such advanced communication means in order to send photos. We would just talk on the phone.
Okay. And is it correct that you declared no income from the sale of cars or from Motorola or from Mr. to the State Tax Service between 2010 to 2013 at the time that the cars were sold?
Yes, of course. Moreover, you can find who the buyers are and ask them if they saw me at any point. I was not participating at all in any negotiation, in any sales or buying. I was asked only to be involved at the phase of importing. I don't even know with what price they were sold.
So if the cars then were in your name, however, what involvement did you have in the paperwork or in other arrangements for the sale of the vehicles that were in your name?
What do you mean involved? I think I have explained. My actions were only to make the documents at the border, at the customs. It was something that he asked me to do, to go during the night, in the middle of the night. And you can actually check this at the customs. When I paid all the taxes for those transportation means, for those vehicles, they would come usually Monday night, Tuesday night, but everything related to further sales, I was not involved at all, not at the purchase, not at the sales. He was the one agreeing with everyone. He would ask intermediary, but I was not participating in the process. You can ask the buyers of those cars, and they will tell you they never saw me. I was just was asked by him to make the power of attorney on someone else. So the moment I finish with the customs, I would write the rights, put the rights on another person. And it was a big market, in a physical market in our country at that time, where they would sell cars. And it was just a notary there. And in those times, people would just take a power of attorney from a notary that would give them the right to put the car further on their name. That's it. That was something that everyone knows, that this is how it was at that time.
Okay. But in addition to the customs paperwork in his name, in your name, the cars were then later registered in your name, correct?
Yes, it's according to the legislation. It could not be on another name, even if there was another buyer. On the primary registration, there could not be another name, because Moldova is not a European Union country, and we would receive a certificate for 30 days, and during those 30 days, the international police would check the car if it's not a stolen car. And only after having the result of Interpol, you have the permanent certificate, and only after that, you can write the property of the car on any person. You can assign any person.
Did you have to go to the Directorate of Registration to register the vehicles? Did you handle that paperwork?
Yes, it was my obligation. Yes, and because, as I said, the Interpol had to check during 30 days.
Correct. So then the cars are registered in your name. Did you issue or get a power of attorney for each of the vehicles then to subsequently be sold since they were in your name?
Yes.
And so those were individual powers of attorney for each vehicle?
Yes, for each vehicle, because each vehicle had its own identification number and all the data specific to the car, the color, the description, everything. So yes, each one a separate power of attorney document.
Okay, and since you declared no income during this time period, and if Mr. was not paying you and you received no income from the sales of the car, how were you able to pay living expenses during this time period?
I want to bring to your knowledge the fact that before being employed officially, I was always supported by my parents. It doesn't matter that I was 18 plus, I was supported by my parents. And I was in my studies and they supported me.
Okay. And between 2007 and 2008, and I believe we've furnished this information before, your mother had no declared income according to the State Tax Service, and in 2009 and 2010 reported income of approximately 28,000 lei. Your father, who was working in Spain, I think you furnished information showing that he withdrew over the 3 years between 2007 and 2010, 29,000 euros. Which you indicated may have been transported to Moldova. Is that information correct in terms of your parents' earnings?
I didn't make calculations. I presented to the Commission all the banking information that my parents have at home. Because all the banking information that I could gather was just recently gathered. And I also presented the copy of my mom's passport, where you can see how often she would travel to Moldova. And I also presented some information on my mom's bank accounts, but just this bank is in bankruptcy now, and we cannot obtain further information. But there are at least some banking cards that proved that my parents owned money in that bank at that time.
And you've informed the Commission that there were no sale purchase contracts for the sale of the vehicles in Moldova because they were sold through a power of attorney. Is that correct?
Yes, this is a standard procedure, 2008, 2009 in Moldova.
Okay. And you also did not produce any of the paperwork having to do with the acquisition of the vehicles in Italy and Germany. Is that correct?
From what I remember, no, I didn't. I mean, it's been 14 years.
If you, rather than Mr. was the true owner of the vehicles, and you had sold them in Moldova using sale purchase contracts, you would have had to report any capital increase to the state tax office and pay tax. Is that correct?
In case if I would sell and have an income, of course. And from what I know, Mr. Pago actually made a tax declaration, and he was subject of a special process there. But I don't know. I mean, we don't we are not in contact with him for so long. But my purpose was at that point not to get money out of it, but to help my family, because I was supposed to help my brother while my parents were not at home.
Okay, is there anything else you would want to add or clarify about this issue?
No, unless there are questions. I think I explained everything. About this purchase contract, I want to reiterate, at that time, we would not make those contracts. We would make power of attorneys. Why? Because the majority of the cars, they would be sold physically at a big market in the center of Chișinău. The market would take place on Saturday and Sunday, and institutions responsible to register the cars, the vehicles, were not working Saturday and Sunday. So the only authority that was involved in this sales purchase was the notary. And the notary was actually there, and it was a standard procedure. I mean, if you ask people in Moldova, everyone will tell you the same. Everyone participated in the same processes for used cars. This was the process.
Yeah, I'm going to turn to a...
Victoria, just 1 second.
Victoria, just 1 second, they have a question. Mr. Sandu, can you explain something, please? Because I'm not following your explanation. So you are saying that in order to import some of those 20 vehicles, it was impossible to make power of attorney because you did know the information, like identification number of the car, and you would communicate only on the phone, but by SMS, you would not, like a short message, you would not be able to send that information? I explained previously, I was not part of the discussion. I was just a young student. I was not even aware what negotiation means at that age. Okay, I understand. Next question. Because you said that power of attorney takes time, but in the same time you say that the notary was at the market on Saturday and Sunday. So it means if your brother-in-law would deal with that, he was not, he did not have a lawyer who would, sorry, not lawyer, but a notary who would make those power of attorney? Because can you clarify this? What do you mean when you say that you were not able to make that power of attorney faster? No, but it was not the necessity. capacity, because nobody at that time would ask you why you registered this car on the name of this person or a relative, or it doesn't matter who. Okay, one more question. During 3 years, you have collaborated with your brother-in-law, and you have been involved in importing vehicles. And all that period, you always did this for free, you never get paid for that? The company was not dealing with selling or buying transport. We were selling accessories and spare parts. And this was a family agreement. This was my enthusiasm to help someone from the family. I never did this for money. I never expected money from this. This was just a request from myself and from my parents that were abroad. They asked my brother-in-law to involve me in such activities, just for my personal development, you know, to have less time to do stupid things.
One follow-up question from my side is, so when you went to the border to organize the custom papers and to pay for the customs, where did you get the money from? Was that cash? From who did you get it? How did you know how much money you had to take? Because it's probably based on the value of the vehicles. How did that work?
Yes, indeed. Before going, I would always visit my brother-in-law. He would give me his vehicle and money, cash money that I would have to pay there. I never used my money. The money that was left after these processes, I would give always back to my brother-in-law.
But how did you know how much money you had to pay at the customs? Did you know that in advance? Then you need to have information about the vehicle.
Okay, so about the vehicles, where it was always paid based on the capacity of the engine of the car. And of course, we knew that information, and when the car reached the custom, we knew already how much we are going to pay. The only small difference, it was based on the currency exchange, because I don't remember, it was in euro, in lei. The car was bought in euro, the custom services duties were in lei. And people that deal with cars, they know that you pay the custom duties based on the capacity of the cylinder, of the engine of the car.
But I think it's also the customs price is also, and the duties is also dependent on the value of the vehicle. For a 15-year-old vehicle, you probably have to pay less than for a 5-year-old vehicle. Isn't that correct?
That's why I gave you the information previously about the fact that we needed only two information about the car: the capacity of the engine and the year of production. Why we needed the year of production? Because in the Republic of Moldova there was a law. You could not import cars older than 10 years. And the same car, if it had a different engine capacity, so it was a stronger engine, the duties at the custom would be higher. And we knew that in advance.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Right. Victoria, you want to go on? Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And we'll return to that in a bit. In 2008 and between 2010 and 2014, you imported 10 vehicles to Moldova with a declared value to customs and fees paid in the total amount of 400,000 lei. These vehicles were registered in your name and then sold during the period of 2008 to 2017. You've stated that the source of funds for the purchase of these vehicles was money obtained from your parents, and that some of the vehicles were sold and the money that was obtained was used to procure other vehicles. You did not provide sales purchase contracts for the purchase and sale of any of these vehicles as requested by the Commission, because you stated that a very long time had passed and you had not kept them. You did not declare registered estate tax service any income from the sales of these 10 vehicles. Please confirm that in 2008 and between 2010 and 14, you imported 10 vehicles with a declared value to customs and fees paid in the total amount of approximately 400,000 lei. And I believe we've given you a list of the vehicles in Annex 2.
Acum observ. Da, confirm că a fost.
Yes, I do confirm. Yes.
Okay. And these vehicles were registered in your name and then sold during the period of 2008 to 2017, correct?
Da.
Yes.
Okay. And please confirm that you told the Commission that the source of funds for the purchase of these vehicles was money obtained from your parents, correct?
Da, erau bani.
Yes, money of my family, of my parents.
All right. And we already addressed your parents' income during this time period in connection with the earlier question, but also in 2010, your parents paid 13,000 euro to purchase a land plot for you in Chișinău, but they had to sell it quickly 3 months later in 2011 to cover business expenses, correct?
În linii generale, acum să explic.
Generally, yes, I can explain details.
În linii generale, corect.
So generally, yes, I can give you details later.
Okay. So how were they able to finance your car imports?
Da. Eu am explicat
Okay, so I have actually offered this explanation in the second round. So if you look at the years 2008, 2010, 2011, and in 2008 the car purchase, they were sold in 2009. And since 2010, it was sold, it was purchased in 2010, and then 2012 and 2011 they were sold. It means in 2012, it's just about calculation of the amounts. If you take them, you cannot take them together. One car was sold, and from that money we would buy another one. So if you look chronologically, it makes sense. Look at the purchase and the sales. We never had all of those cars all in the same time. All of the expenses were related to we sell a car, we buy another one.
Okay. And so if you were buying a car, selling the car, and buying another car, and not having to get further money from your parents, this would mean you were making money when you sold the vehicles, correct? You're making some profit.
No, I was receiving money from my parents. I told you, maybe it was not properly translated. I was supported by my parents. No, because actually what you said, that you were selling and buying, so why did you need the money of your parents? It doesn't matter that the car was sold. I was sending the money to my parents from the sales of the car. And I mean, I would give the money to the parents. We had a joint budget. I was not using that money for myself.
And you didn't provide sale purchase contracts for either the purchase or sale of any of these vehicles as requested by the Commission, because you stated that a long period of time had passed and you hadn't kept them, correct?
Yes, it's more than 14 years. It was 2008. And I don't remember those separate cases for the contracts. And even if those contracts existed abroad, they were annexed to the registration, in the registration process. But if a definite separate contract of sales and purchase was made, it was probably provided provided to the Agency of Public Services. All I have is just some papers that my parents found at our house. And the questions that you asked, it was, I mean, you asked me this 3-4 days before, and in this time I could not obtain that information. I have to make an official request to the agency to receive that information. And I explained this previously to the Commission. In case you request this, of course, you can also ask them from the Agency of Public Services, because they keep this in the archive.
And you did not declare any income from the sales of these 10 vehicles to the tax authorities, correct?
Yes, correct, because I didn't have any income. They were not purchased to be sold. They were purchased for us to use them. So, in a Volkswagen Polo, we were using it. And then we decided to sell it and buy a Golf, a bigger car, so we would progress. So the purpose of those purchases were to use them in the family. It was not a commercial purpose to make money out of the sales further.
So is it your position that all 10 vehicles were for personal service by you or family members?
Da, în afară din 2010,
Yes,
aceste
except
două
for the
motociclete,
two
nu.
motorcycles in
Acelea aparțineau de
2010.
asemenea,
Those two belonged to Mr.
în cazul 2010.
In
În rest, toate
2010.
au aparținut
All
și
the others
ne-am folosit noi de ele.
belonged to us and we used them.
So even of the vehicles that were sold shortly, or within 6 months to a year of being purchased, it's your position that those were vehicles that were for your family and were not, were for personal purpose?
Da, au fost toți cu personal. Dar
Everything was for personal
Peugeot, 3 ani
persons.
de zile în posesie.
Peugeot, 3 years of ownership.
Camionul și Sprinter One și
The
ceva.
Sprinter, 1 year
Golf,
something. The
2010-2011,
Golf,
un an de
2010 to
zile.
2011, 1 year.
un
The
an de
Polo,
zile, un an și
another
jumătate.
year, 1 year and a
Toate
half.
erau,
All of
toate erau
them
în folosința familiei. Mai mult
were
ca atât,
used
circulam
by
cu
my
ei.
family and we drove them.
Automobilul Toyota,
The
2014-2017,
Toyota
3 ani
car,
de zile în folosință și
we used
posesie.
it for 3 years. Owned it for 3 years.
And did your parents then pay any taxes, or did they declare with the tax authorities? Because you say it was part of the whole family, the family was one. Did your parents pay any taxes?
Acum să prind.
Yeah, I think there's a connection problem here.
Has the connection issue been resolved?
Well, we hear you, but we don't see you.
Okay. Herman, were you asking a question, or should I
Yeah.
continue?
I was asking the question to the candidate. You want to go on like this, or you want to wait until the connection has been fully restored?
Why don't you go ahead? I can hear you.
Okay, very good. Then just go ahead. My question was the following. So you indicated that you did not declare any income from the sales of the cars because it was part of the family practice or business. Did your parents at any time during those transactions of those cars, where sometimes there is a difference of between a year and a half, 3 years, that cars were bought and sold, did they ever pay any taxes? Did they ever declare any taxes over those cars?
Conform legislației în vigoare,
According to the legislation in force, you pay income tax, which means if you sold it for more and you make income. But when selling those cars, no income was earned. That's why no income tax was paid. My family did not make income out of these goods.
Okay, and, Herman, did you have any further questions?
Sorry, yeah, the microphone was off. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. In 2014, you imported from Romania a Toyota Corolla, model year 2005, and registered it on 26 September of 2014. You declared the value at customs of 63,000 lei and paid fees of 16,490 lei, totaling 79,490 lei, approximately 4,800 euros. And in your 2015 NIA declaration, you declared the purchase price as 70,000 lei. The car was sold 3 years later on 23 July 2017. And in your 2017 NIA declaration, you listed the sales price at 78,000 lei, approximately 4,000 euros. You did not provide the purchase contract for 2014 or the sales contract for 2017 as requested by the Commission. The market value for similar cars in 2017 was between 5,000 and 6,000 euros. So please confirm that in 2014 you imported a Toyota Corolla model year 2005 from Romania with a declared value to customs of 63,000 lei and fees paid of 16,400 lei.
Parțial confirm.
I partially confirm.
So what's the part you confirm and what's the part you don't confirm?
Suma
The amount, 63,000 lei, the amount declared in customs, I will explain it.
Bine să-l explicați acum.
Please go ahead.
Referitor la automobilul Corolla.
With respect to the Toyota Corolla, I purchased it from Romania, from Bucharest. I found the announcement. At that time, we did not have a car, and we had a car, but we bought the second car in our family. I went to Bucharest, so at home I found some documents. On that day,
Eu am prezentat și comisii.
and I also submitted this to the Commission.
Automobilul era înregistrat pe numele
The car
românești.
was
Pentru a fi transportat
with a Romanian number plate. To transport it to Romania, I either had to drive with it with Romanian number plate,
radiat,
or it had to be deleted. Its registration had to be deleted in Romania, but Romania didn't have a procedure for temporary number plate. And if we deleted the registration, it had to be towed to Moldova. So on the day it was purchased, we had a comodatus agreement at a notary in Romania, whereby the seller made it possible for me to drive it from Bucharest to Moldova and to be able to import it to Moldova. I attached a copy of that comodatus agreement, and then he issued a receipt to me confirming that he received money from me and transferred the vehicle to me for my assurance, in a way, that proving that I gave him the money. For the comodatus agreement, he should prove that everything was paid, like road tax, tax authority certificate that he has now, because at the time I bought it, it wasn't a sale purchase agreement, but a comodatus agreement, so that I can just leave the country. And I assigned as a copy the original certificate of registration in Romania. It also shows the info about the engine, and I have a copy of his ID. Afterwards, after I brought the car to Moldova, it was parked, and all the documents, original, were through regular transport, were sent to him, and he, from what I remember, he had to make this deletion from the Romanian system. And through the same regular transport, they sent me the certificate with a stamp, with signature, that this car was deleted from Romanian registration. After that, I did the customs clearance. In all your questions about the means of transport, you talk about the customs value. And the customs value.
And the amount declared to customs was 63,000 lei, is that correct?
Nu.
No.
Această informație este de la
This information we received from customs. What is wrong? Please explain. Strictly answer the question. The customs value is decided upon by the customs officer based on the law on customs tariff. Article 8 states, paragraph 3. It's right and duties of the customs authority. The customs authority is allowed to determine on its own the customs value of the goods, applying one of the 6 methods provided for by this law. Moreover, and well, below Article 10 of Law number 1380 of 1997, that gives the customs officer the right to decide on his or her own what's the customs value of a good, because they make reference as a method of determining the customs value, not documents that we submit, receipts, and that it was sold for this matter. But usually they use value of transactions with similar goods, which means they decide what's the customs value.
Right, and you previously indicated that the customs price was based on the engine capacity and the year of purchase of the vehicle, correct?
Da, deci,
Yes.
la
So did
achitarea
you dispute the
serviciilor...
value put by customs on
No,
the
that's-
Toyota Corolla?
Desigur, eu
Of
am
course, I
indicat în
disputed.
spisak, propriu zis, cât am
I
achitat
showed
ea.
the receipt,
Dar
how much
v-am
I
și
paid.
spus
But
că
the
noi
customs
nu
officer
putem lua
said,
la bază.
we
Asta,
cannot
în
take
toate
as a
cazurile,
basis.
v-am și spus în felul următor,
Like
nu
the
putem lua la
customs
bază
officer says, we
astfel de
cannot
acte,
accept
deoarece
such
noi
documents
aplicăm
because we
una din
apply
cele
one
6
of the 6
metode de
methods
constatare a valorii
of
în bani, conform articolul
ascertaining
10
the
și 8
customs
din
value
legea cu
according to
privire la
Article
tariful
10
vamal.
and 8 of the law on the
Astfel,
customs tariff.
chiar
Respectively,
dacă dumnealor au
even
mărit
if they
suma,
increased the
n-am
amount,
avut
I did
n-am
not,
avut în cazul automobililor.
in case
În
of
cazul
the cars,
automobililor n-am avut careva pagubă deoarece
did not
automobilii
incur
se
any,
devamează în baza
was because
capacității
customs
cilindrice.
are the cars get customs clearance based on engine capacity, not based on the cost.
În baza lor de date
But in
au
their
un
database,
preț mediu. Cât a
they
costat un
have
astfel de
an
automobil?
average price
Pe
of
piața
how much
Republicii
would
Moldova.
such
Și
a
ei
car
au indicat
cost on the
prețul
Moldovan
acela
market, and they
care au
write
ei.
that price that they have in
Procurorul la
their
sfârșit de an
database,
să
and
indic
so
statistica
that at the end of the
că
year
au
they
fost
can show
importate în
statistics
țară,
that
marfă în
goods
valoare
worth of
sumedată.
this much amount were imported to the country this year.
Dacă am fost clar care a fost
I hope I was clear what's the purpose, why customs officers always write that number.
And the receipt you just referred to that evidenced the amount that you paid for the vehicle, you no longer have and did not produce for the commission, correct?
Păi ea se anexează în
It
original
is
la etapa
attached
devamării,
original
la
at the
actele de
stage
vamări,
of
se
the
anexează
customs
original.
clearance. The original
Eu nici
receipt
nu
is
o
in
păstrez.
there. I can't have
Ea
it.
se anexează la etapa de
It
vamării.
is attached at the customs clearance.
And you did not declare income from the sales of any of these vehicles to the tax authorities, correct? Oops, sorry. I did that one. Okay, so in your NIA declaration, however, you declared the purchase price of the vehicle as 70,000 lei, correct?
Da, corect.
Yes,
Și vă
that's
explic de
right,
ce.
and I can explain you why.
All right.
Deci, legislația prevedea să fie indicat
The law
prețul de achiziție în
provided
baza
that we
actului
need to
cumpărare-vânzare.
show the
Ulterior, în prețul de
purchase price
cunoașteți
based
au
on
apărut
the
foarte
sale
multe
purchase agreement. And
situații
then in the
neplăcute
media there were
când
so
mai
many
mulți
unpleasant
funcționari publici au fost
situations
învinuiți că
when several
dețin
civil
automobile
servants
în
were
valoare
blamed
10.000
that
de lei.
they own cars
Doar
worth
că ei se
10,000 lei.
foloseau de
But
când
they were
când
using,
întocmeau
when
declarații
they were
pe venit, indicau
making
preț
their
care era
income
contractat în cumpărare.
tax
Nu
statement,
prețul
they
care
were
l-au auditat.
showing the price in the contract, not the really paid
Când am
tax
fost numit în funcție
price.
publică
I,
de stat,
since being appointed
toate
to a civil
proprietăți care le-am
servant position,
obținut,
all property
am
that I
indicat nu
own,
doar prețul
I
de
mentioned not
cumpărare,
just the
cum indicau
purchase
alții.
prices
Dar
others
am
did.
indicat tot timpul
But I
prețul
was showing the price
complet,
that
cât m-a costat acest bun.
the entire price, how much
Prețul de
this good
cumpărare,
cost
prețul
me.
de transportare,
Purchase,
prețul de vamare
transport,
și prețul
customs
de
clearance,
matriculare.
and
Eu
registration.
tot timpul am indicat
So I
toată suma,
always
ca
included the
ulterior să nu
entire
fie învinuit că
amount,
mijlocul
not to be
transport este
blamed
diminuat în
that
preț.
the value of a vehicle
Și
is
acesta prețul care eu l-am indicat este
underestimated.
prețul real
That,
care l-a
therefore, the
suportat
price
la
that I mentioned
toată
is
procedura.
the amount that I incurred as a result of this
Și în
entire
cazul la
procedure.
toate mijloacele de
And in
transport
case
care au
of
fost pe
all
perioada
means of
cât m-am aflat în
transport
funcție
that
de
I
deputat
had
public,
during
toate am indicat
when I had public interim
în
position,
totalmente
I
care a fost
always
valoarea propriu-zis
mentioned
care
the
m-a costat pe
value
mine la
or the
procurarea acestor
amount
bunuri.
that I incurred, the cost that I incurred to purchase these goods.
Okay, so please confirm if the car was sold in July of 2017, and in your 2017 NIA declaration, you listed the sales price as 4,000 euros, which would roughly have been about 78,000 lei.
Eu nu știu care era cursul.
I don't know what was the exchange rate. That was the price for which I sold her. On that day, I don't know the exchange rate on that day. You probably calculated it.
Okay.
Dar aici să concretizez.
I want to clarify
3
one
ani
thing
mai
here.
devreme când eu am
3
cumpărat,
years earlier,
eu
when
n-am
I
cumpărat în
purchased
lei.
it, I did
Eu de
not
asemenea am
buy it
cumpărat-o
for
în valută străină.
lei. I bought it for euros because I bought it in another
Eu am
country.
achitat în valută
I
străină în
paid
euro.
in
Cursul,
euros.
dacă veți verifica
The
cursul din
exchange rate, if you
2014,
check the exchange rate in
suma era mai mare de
2014,
4.000 de euro.
the amount
achitat pe
was
ea.
higher than 4,000 euros, what I paid for it.
Okay. And please confirm that you didn't provide, and if there wasn't a sales purchase contract, either that or the receipt evidencing your payment to the seller for either the purchase or the sale of the Toyota Corolla.
V-am menționat că n-am păstrat-o.
I
Eu am
said I
căutat
did
acasă,
not
n-am
keep it.
păstrat-o.
I searched at home. I
Referitor la
didn't keep
vânzarea din
it. With respect to the
2017, pur și simplu n-am
sale
păstrat-o.
in 2017, I just didn't keep it.
Ea urmează eventual să se
It-
păstreze la Agenției Servicii Publice.
It
Când am
probably
făcut
is kept with the
ea se
Public
anexează
Services
original,
Agency.
se
When you do the
anexează la acte.
re-registration,
Ea va fi
the
păstrată
original
la
receipt is kept
Agenției
with the
Servicii
file
Publice, care
of the
efectuat
documents. So
rematriculare pe
it's
noul
with the
proprietar.
Public Services Agency, which did the re-registration on a new owner.
Okay. And do you contest that the market value for similar cars in 2017 was between 5 and 6,000 euros?
Deci, referitor la bunuri
With
similare,
respect to similar goods,
persoane care s-au ocupat
The
de
people
evaluarea
who
acestor mijloace nu au
evaluated
făcut
this
delimitarea.
one did not
Mijloacele acestui transport,
distinguish
Toyota Corolla, de regulă pe
one
piață la
thing.
noi, toate
Usually
se
Toyota
aflau
Corolla
în
on
motorizare
our market
diesel.
are on
Și în cutie
diesel
robotică.
engine and
Conducătorul mijloace de transport cunosc că
robot
automobilii
gear.
diesel
And
sunt
our
mai
transporters know that
scumpe.
diesel cars are more expensive, while the one that I sold, if you checked
în
it,
motorizare benzin,
it's
nu diesel. Și
gas,
prețul
not
pe piață,
diesel.
în
So
cazul
the
automobilului
market
diesel, da, în
price
perioada
for a
aceea era
diesel
5.000-6.000
car
de euro.
at that time
Dar în
was
cazul
5,000
mașinii
6,000
benzin
euros. But in
și
case of
cutie
a
manuală,
gas with a manual
prețul era de
gearbox,
4.000 de euro,
the
jur de
price was
4.000 de
around
euro.
4,000 euros.
Is there anything else that you want to add or clarify about this issue?
Da, referitor la preț,
Regarding the price,
deținători de automobile cunosc același
the
automobil, același
car
model,
owners,
același
the
an,
same
poate să ai
car,
valoare-
the same
valoare complet diferită.
make year
Tot depinde de
can
motorizare și de
have
completare.
different prices, all depending on the engine
Și
and
valoarea 5-6 mii care a fost indicată acum la dumneavoastră am văzut,
well, how
dar
how
în
it is
cazul
equipped.
mijloacelor
And
de transport diesel,
this 5,000
Corolla
6,000,
diesel.
yes, that
Puteți
was true,
concretizați
but for
aspectul, da.
Toyota
La
Corolla
benzinul,
with diesel engine, not for gas.
Da,
Victoria, just yeah.
In 2015, you purchased and
Victoria?
imported to Moldova.
Victoria,
Victoria, just
Yes.
Nadia want to. Yeah, you don't see that, but Nadia want to have a question before you go on. Just hang on there. Yeah, Nadia.
vreau doar să precizez, domnule
I just want to clarify, Mr. Sandu, in your declaration of 2017,
ați indicat că ați vândut
you
acest
mentioned that you
automobil cu
sold that
4.000 de
car
euro.
for 4,000 euros.
4.000 de euro, dacă ne uităm acum,
4,000
la
euros,
curs,
if you look at the
aproximativ
exchange
80.000
rate,
de
was
lei sau
around
ceva de
80,000
genul,
lei or
doamna
something like that.
73.
Nu, doamna, a spus 78.
The lady said 73, 78. 78, she
În
said. Okay.
2014,
In 2014,
dumneavoastră ați declarat prețul
declared
pentru că ați
the-
cumpărat în 2014
the
70.000 de
price
lei.
as 70,000 lei.
Deci, dumneavoastră ați vândut un
So
automobil
you sold the
procurat
car,
în
purchased
2014,
in
l-ați
2014.
vândut în
You sold it in
2017
2017.
cu un pic, dar haideți să zicem dacă bursul joacă un pic, dar
Well, and the
practic l-ați vândut
exchange
cu exact
rate
același preț. De fapt, dacă
is
noi
changing, but
calculăm
more or
în
less
lei,
you sold
ați
it
vândut
for the
un
same
pic mai
price. If you
scump.
calculate in lei,
în
you even sold it for
2017.
more.
Da. Vă rog frumos să răspundeți
So
doar la,
please
doar
answer
la
just
următoarea
the
întrebare.
following question.
Cum este posibil un
How is it
automobil care
possible
este
for a
3
car
ani în
That
utilizare
is being used for 3 years
să coste
to
mai scump sau
have a
aproape
price that is
exact
higher or
cum a
almost
costat la procurare?
the same
Și
as
mai
the
am o
purchase
întrebare după
price,
asta. Mersi.
and I will have another question after that.
Dacă tu mi-ați observat, automobilul a fost
You may
cumpărat
have
în
noticed
afara
that car
țării.
was purchased outside of the country.
El din start era mai ieftin cu
From the
prețul pe
beginning,
piață.
it was
În perioada
cheaper than the
2014,
price now
prețul pe
market. In
piață era 6.000 de euro în
2014, the price
2014.
was 6,000
Eu am
euros.
facilitat de un preț mai mic prin faptul
Obtained
că
at a
eu
smaller
am găsit
price
singur
because
pe
I
anunț,
found it
la
on
persoană
my own
fizică,
through an
la el acasă, am
advertising from an
negociat cu
individual.
el,
I went there home, I negotiated,
activitatea de
I
transportare,
took
eu
care
l-am
of all the
ajutat, remorca să fie
transportation.
transportat.
I did
Eu
not
personal
pay
l-am
for it
adus,
to be towed to
l-am condus
Moldova.
până
I
în
drove it
Moldova.
to Moldova.
Și în aceasta este diferența când cumperi automobil
And
pe
that's the
hotare
difference
și
when you
un automobil
buy
din
cars
Republica
abroad and
Moldova.
when you buy cars in Moldova.
Eventual din start o cumperi mai
So
ieftin.
from the very
decât
beginning,
prețul
it
în
will be
Republica
cheaper
Moldova.
than for what they are
Dacă
sold in
observați acum, la
Moldova.
momentul, luați
Right
orice
now,
automobil,
you
luați
just take any other car,
Și a
you
doua
go to
întrebare,
foreign work.
dumneavoastră l-ați
The
vândut
second question, you
după lei
sold
mai
it
scump.
in lei,
Ați
it
achitat
was higher.
impozit
Did you
de
pay
creștere
a
capitală
capital
sau
gain
nu?
tax?
După lei, doar valoarea de
Yes,
cumpărare
but
lui am cumpărat în euro.
but I bought it
Nu
in
am cumpărat
euros. I did not buy in lei.
În ani ați indicat
But
în lei.
to
Eu am
NIA,
indicat la
you
NIA
mentioned in
ca să
lei.
fiu claritate,
I
nu că
reported it
sumă
to NIA,
străină și am
not
indicat
to
în sumă,
a foreign
dar la
amount, and
etapa de
I
cumpărare,
that's why.
declarat în
Then why in
2014 că l-ați
2014 you
cumpărat
declared
cu 70.000 de
for
lei?
70,000
Dacă
lei?
acum
Well,
susțineți că
now
l-ați
you
cumpărat
said
în
that you
euro și ați
purchased it
plătit
in
tot
euros
euro.
and you paid in
Și în
euros.
aceeași declarație
And in the
anul,
same
în
declaration to NIA
2017,
2017,
când dumneavoastră ați indicat că l-ați
you
vândut,
mentioned that you sold
deja
it.
ați indicat
You
prețul
already
în euro,
state
dar
the
de fapt
price in euros,
susțineți că
but
l-ați
you
vândut în
state
lei.
that you sold it for
Puteți
lei.
clarificați un
Please
pic.
clarify.
Prețul mijlocul transport cumpărat în
The
2014 a
price
costat
of
un
a
preț
vehicle
în
in
euro.
2014, the
Prețul
price
de
in euros,
transportare, care a fost
including
în
the transportation
roni,
that was in Romanian lei,
achitarea taxelor de import, de
payment
vamare,
of
de înregistrare,
customs
lei
duties
moldovenești.
registration, that was Moldovan lei.
Au fost trei sume
So there
în
are
trei
three
valute
amounts
diferite
in three different
care eu
currencies
le-am,
that I
le-am suportat la procurare.
incurred when purchasing the
Când a
car.
avut loc vânzarea,
When the sale
eu
took
l-am
place,
vândut la noi de
I
regulă,
sold it
sfrat
usually.
că se vinde în euro.
We
Și eu n-am
here
făcut
sell
transfer
in
cât
euros, and I
costă
did not
în
make
ziua
a
schimbării
conversion.
lei. Mi-a scris
How
expres
much it
cât eu am
cost
indicat,
in
cât a cumpărat. Mie
on the
persoana
day
mi-a
of
transmis
sale.
expres
I wrote
euro,
how
nu lei.
much I received. The person
indicat
gave me
euro
euros,
care
not
am
lei. I wrote how much euros I received.
No
Victoria.
further questions?
No.
Yeah, okay, Victoria,
Russia.
please go ahead. Yep.
In 2015, you purchased and imported to Moldova a motorcycle Honda Hornet, model year 2006. In your 2015 NIA declaration, you stated the value of the motorcycle is 25,000 lei, including the purchase price, customs fees, and transportation. In May 2018, you sold this motorcycle for 50,000 lei, according to the sales contract. And your 2018 NIA declaration, when asked by the commission why you had not declared any income or paid taxes from the sale of the motorcycle, you stated that you purchased it in Romania in a damaged condition and later repaired the motorcycle and did not have an increase of capital, but even some small losses. You did not provide any calculations as to the repair expenses. You stated that the repairs were made to replace damaged parts, which you purchased from specialized websites for the sale of secondhand spare parts, only a portion of which were purchased new. You stated that you personally performed all the replacements and repairs on the motorcycle except for the adjustment of the carburetor, and that was done by a specialist from Chișinău, whom you paid the equivalent of 40 euros. You did not provide the purchase contract for 2014 or confirmative documents regarding the costs of repair, and you did not pay any income tax on the sale of the motorcycle. Please confirm that in 2015 you purchased and imported to Moldova a motorcycle Honda Hornet model year 2006, and that in your 2015 NIA declaration, you stated the value of the motorcycle is 25,000 lei.
Da, confirm.
I confirm.
Please confirm that in May 2018, you sold this motorcycle for 50,000 lei according to the sales contract and your 2018 NIA declaration.
Da, confirm.
I confirm.
Okay. And when asked by the commission why you had not declared any income or paid taxes from the sale of the motorcycle, you stated that you purchased the motorcycle in a damaged condition and later repaired the motorcycle and did not have an increase in capital, but even some small losses. Isn't that correct?
Da, confirm.
I confirm.
Okay, and when asked about the repairs, you didn't provide any calculations as to the repair expenses. You stated that the repairs were made to replace damaged parts, which you purchased from specialized websites, only a portion of which were purchased new. And you personally stated that you performed all of the replacements and repairs on the motorcycle, except for the adjustment of the carburetor that was carried out by a specialist whom you paid the equivalent of 40 euros. Is that correct?
Da, confirm.
I confirm.
Okay. And you did not provide the purchase contract for 2014 or confirmative documents regarding the costs of repair, correct?
Confirm.
I confirm.
And you did not pay any income tax on the sale of the motorcycle, correct?
Până la moment, nu.
Not yet.
Okay. I'd like to direct your attention to the order of the Ministry of Finance number 40/2018 that states that the value of a good is based on the invoice, customs declaration, and confirmatory documents of the actual payment. Repairs do not establish adjustment of value basis. So isn't it correct that you were required to declare to State Tax Service the income on the sale of the Honda Hornet?
Deci, să fac o precizare
I
în cazul
want to
dat.
make a clarification
Eu la
about
etapa în
this.
2016
In
sau
2016
2015 am
or
indicat
2015,
expres cât,
I
cu cât am
declared
cumpărat acest
for
mijloc
how
de
much I
transport
purchased this
la etapa
vehicle
cumpărării în
when
mijlocul de transport în stare variată. Eu am
I
anexat
bought it in a
comisii,
damaged state.
am păstrat în telefon, deja aveam screenshot-ul
I had the
anunțului,
screenshot
este
in
anunț,
the.
este numărul telefon la cine a
There
cumpărat.
is a screenshot
Este
number,
cum
telephone
era,
number from
în
whom
ce
I
stare
bought it
era.
and what condition it was. There are photos.
Ulterior,
Subsequently,
da, să găsesc,
let me find this.
2015. Ulterior, procesul de reparație a
The
durat în timp.
repairs
Aceasta a
took
durat în timp
time
deoarece lipsa de
because
timp, lipsa de piesă.
lack of time,
Mai
lack
mult
of
ca
spare
atât,
parts.
am anexat
Moreover,
extrasul
I
extras bancar,
attached
că am cumpărat
the
o piesă
bank
nouă de pe
and I
internet. Este
purchased a
extras
new
2000 ceva
spare
lei,
part
o piesă nouă, restul pieselor,
over internet.
eu le-am
That's
cumpărat
a bank capture for
uzate,
two something
lipsate
thousand
de
lei.
profil.
The others I
Astfel,
purchased
ulterior,
second hand from
calcule, eu nu
profile
am efectuat.
websites.
Această durată
And I
de
did not make
reparație
calculations
n-a fost
because
bună, a fost
this
altceva.
repair did not
Dacă
take for
observați
1 month,
momentul
it was
de
more than
valoare,
1 year. You can
până la
notice
momentul
from
registrării
customs
primare,
clear
pe care s-a
until the
oferit
primary
număr de
registration
matriculare,
when I
mai
got
mult de
the
altceva.
number plate, it was
Reparația
more
dură
than
cu
1 year.
altceva.
So repairing it took me more than 1 year.
Eu făceam acest lucru
Because
în
I
timpul
was
liber
doing
care
it
îl
on
aveam.
my free time that I had.
Ulterior, eu aproximativ mi-am făcut
Subsequently.
Sandu, my question had to do
referitor la
with the
achitare.
obligation, what you were obligated to report to the tax service.
Da, să spun, da. Referitor,
me say.
eu n-am perceput
I
ca un
did
venit,
not
deoarece am
perceive
avut
this
cinci
as income
cheltuieli mai
because I
mari
had
cheltuieli la reparații.
expenses,
Astfel,
repair
după ce am
expenses
primit
that are higher. So
răspunsul
after I
am văzut că este în
received
discordanță.
your question, I saw that there is a
Am
discrepancy,
depus
some
cerere
ambiguity.
expres
And
și am anexat
I
material
made a
adversar
request and
către
I
serviciu
attached
fiscal.
it out to
Am
State
relatat
Tax
toată
Service.
speța,
I explained
cum
that
a
the
avut loc,
case,
la ce
how
dată.
it was, on what date,
Am primit răspuns,
and
am
I
anexat și
received an
răspunsul
answer
lor,
and
din
I
care
attached
și
their
am pus
answer
întrebare concretă.
and I asked them
Uitați-vă,
concretely,
se
look,
consideră aceasta
is this
majorare de capital?
a capital gain?
În cazul
And
care a
second
avut loc
question,
o majorare de
if there is
capital,
capital gain,
care sumă urmează să o
what
plătesc?
amount should I pay?
La întrebarea mea eu am anexat răspunsul
So, and
serviciului fiscal.
I provided you the
La care
answer
serviciul
of the
fiscal
State
mi-a
Tax
dat o
Service.
explicație. Ce
The State
costă
Tax Service
majorare, în ce
explained me
etapă de
what
timp
capital
și
gain
mi-a dat
is and what
răspuns.
time.
Urmează eu să achit
And they didn't answer, should I pay or shouldn't I pay? Now, after receiving us, I made a new request. Given that I received the second round and I listed all three transport means that belongs to me, I said, I wrote them that when I bought them, when I sold it, at what price, and in two questions, I attached this. Again, two concrete questions. Please check, is it necessary for me to pay tax? If yes, announce me how much and where should I go and pay. I don't avoid paying taxes. Just if there is no clarity if I should pay or not, I mean, from my point of view, I did not get income. I know that you have to pay taxes if you make an income out of something. And you saw that my first request is September 15th. I asked you and I requested you concretely, please determine whether it is necessary for me to pay this difference. The capital gain tax. And secondly, what's the amount that I should pay? They did not give me a concrete answer. I attached their answer. They only mentioned the legal provisions. I requested repeatedly. I asked them, please verify all these three vehicles. Tell me, if I failed to pay, let me know and I will come and pay all the due taxes. Moreover, nothing in our declarations was hidden. I always filed declarations on time. I never violated the declaration regime. I always did everything very visible and very transparent. I never tried to hide. And if I had the intention to hide income, I wouldn't be writing the 50,000 lei, the more expensive one that I sold it for than what I put. A question, Mr. Sandu.
Victoria, Nadia is having one question. Can you just hold on, please? Yeah, Nadia, go ahead.
Clarification. You make reference to the unclarity of rules and so on, but you are judge since 2016. And sales, imports of vehicles, you've been doing that before you became a judge. And the question about how taxes are paid when you didn't you ever have this question before the pre-vetting commission? Because you had other no, I never encountered this. No one ever told me, no tax authority told me to, but you never wondered, maybe, well, I was supposed to pay if I made an income out of it. This is called income tax, if I have income, yes, but I never made an income out of it. I explained it. Moreover, I made a request, please check. Explain me, if I have to pay, I have to pay. And I submitted an additional request that confirmed once more, please verify all my means of transport, the price that I purchased it for how much I sold it, and tell me how much I have to pay, because I didn't earn an income out of these vehicles.
Judge Sandu? Yeah. If you were unable to provide to the Commission information about the details of how much you had spent on the repairs, how could State Tax Service have told you how much you were supposed to pay in taxes?
But I actually explained to them which was the price of purchase. Then I made the reparation on my own, and then I sold on with 25,000. And I asked if I have to pay any taxes, and if yes, what amount. I came with a request to them because I didn't want to be blamed that I didn't pay the right taxes. I once again tell you, I am not trying to avoid paying the taxes. I will always cover my taxes. If I make a repeated request, it means that I am interested to pay that tax.
I think my question was, if you had not been able to provide the Commission information about the cost of the repairs, how could either you furnish that calculation to State Tax Service, or how could they make that determination as to the amount of taxes that might be owed?
I didn't make any calculation. I just wrote a letter and I showed you the letter, each stage, what happened. And I asked them to verify if there is a need for me to pay taxes or not. That was it.
Okay. Let's move on. On 13 January 2021, you registered a motorcycle Suzuki España, model year 2003, and had a technical car test conducted. You also purchased insurance for this vehicle for 2021. You sold this vehicle on 18 March 2021, 2 months after registering it. In response to requests from the Commission, you provided only the sales contract of 18 March, according to which the motorcycle was sold by you for 20,000 lei. The market price for similar motorcycles in 2021 was approximately 2,000 euros. You did not pay any income tax on the sale of the motorcycle. Please confirm that on 13 January 2021, you registered a Suzuki motorcycle model year 2003 and had a technical car test conducted.
Confirm.
I confirm.
Okay. And when did you purchase or receive the Suzuki motorcycle?
According to the information of the Commission, in 2008.
Okay. And what did you pay for it?
I don't remember this. This happened in 2008. In the materials that you have presented, it was written just Suzuki, not Suzuki Hispana, but it's the same WIN code, it's the same identification number of the vehicle. So I found it here. So it's Suzuki from 2003. That's the information. How much I paid in 2008, I don't remember, because I saw the price. It's not a motorcycle, it's a scooter, and it's 150 cubic centimeters. So it's not a motorcycle, it's a small vehicle. It's a scooter. And 2,000 euro, this is for a motorcycle, but not for a scooter. The scooters do not cost 2,000 euro. It costs maximum maybe 1,000 euro.
And please confirm that you purchased insurance for this vehicle in 2021.
I don't remember if I did that or the buyer did that, because I remember I registering it at the registration department, and I think at that point it was also the insurance was made, but I don't remember on which name was the insurance made. What name was indicated in the insurance, because the transaction could not happen the same day. It happened after 2 months. Why it couldn't happen at that day? Because 30 days should pass after that Interpol control was performed in order to confirm that the vehicle was not stolen, was not in the database of Interpol. This is a standard procedure. And only after 2 months, all the documents were like the registration happened.
Okay. And in response to requests from the Commission, you provided only the sales contract for March of 2021, according to which the scooter was sold by you for 20,000 lei, correct?
Correct.
Yes, correct.
All right. And you said other documents had not been preserved.
No, because I mean we speak about 2008. We have in the database there is information.
And I take it you contest that you believe that the market price for similar scooters in 2021 might have been 1,000 lei or less?
Desigur nu sunt de acord, deoarece
Of course, I don't agree. It's written 2,000 euro. It's a price for a motorcycle. You can check any profile web page in the Republic of Moldova. You indicate the capacity of the engine, and the scooter does not have such price. It's half of this price. It's a very small scooter. It's not a motorcycle.
Okay. And did you have a capital increase after selling the motorcycle?
No, I didn't have an increase of capital. That's why I didn't indicate any increase of capital. And my request, repeated request to the state tax authority was including this scooter. And I asked very concrete question to verify if it's necessary to pay additional amounts coming from this sales, because I didn't have income, increase of capital out of the sale.
And that is why your position is that you didn't pay any income tax on the sale of the motorcycle. Is that correct?
Yes, till today I didn't. I made a request and I asked to the tax authority to announce me if I have to pay anything. And if they tell me that I have to pay, I will pay. It's not a problem. I annexed this request to the state tax authority. I showed this to you.
Okay. Is there anything else you wish to add or clarify regarding this issue?
No.
Okay.
No, nothing.
All right. Next, I'm going to ask you about a transaction involving a Mercedes E220 CDI model year 2010. In your 2021 NIA declaration, you reported the purchase of a Mercedes E220 CDI model year 2010, purchased. The price you indicated was 210,000 lei, which is approximately 12,700 euros. The sale purchase contract was dated 10 November 2021 and indicated the seller as with your father acting under a power of attorney. The car had been purchased 1 month earlier on 6 October 2021 by prosecutor in the Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office for 200,000 lei. That was the amount declared by her in her declaration for 2021. During 2019 to 2022, when you were working as an investigating judge, Nadija Busiak participated in your examination of applications authorizing criminal proceedings. You stated that is a friend for many years and was looking to buy a car. You stated that you learned that Nadija Busiak wanted to sell her car and you offered this option to Mr. After Mr. purchased the car, you stated that he decided to immigrate to the United States and offered the car to your father. Mr. then allowed your father to use the car under the terms that if he liked it, he could buy it for the same price plus expenses incurred for the registration and replacement of worn parts. But if your father didn't like it, he could sell it for Mr. while Mr. is away. According to you, Mr. gave your father a power of attorney for this purpose. When you decided to buy the car, you asked Nadija Busuyak if it was a problem to buy the car that had previously belonged to her, and she did not object. When asked who else used the car, you stated that since the car was registered to you, you were the only one that used it. You concluded an RCA internal insurance contract on November 10, 2021 for the period November 10, 2021 to November 9, 2022. You also attached an RCA internal contract that was concluded on April 28, 2020 by Ms. Busiak for the period of May 4, 2020 to May 5, 2021 for the amount of 523 lei. And according to information from RCA data, it indicated that starting on May 4, 2022, Ms. Busiak had an internal insurance policy for an additional 12 months for a payment of 677 lei. Please confirm that you purchased a Mercedes E220 CDI model year 2010 for 210,000 lei on 10 November 2021.
Da, confirm.
Yes, I confirm.
Okay, and the sales purchase contract was dated 10 November 2021 and indicated the seller is with your father acting under a power of attorney, correct?
Da.
Yes.
And the car had been purchased 1 month earlier on 6 October 2021 by Mr. From Nadija Wusuyak, prosecutor in the Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office for 200,000 lei, correct?
Da.
Yes.
Okay, and between 2019 and 2022, when you were working as an investigating judge, Ms. Busuyak participated in your examination of the applications authorizing criminal proceedings, correct?
Da.
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. friend for many years, and according to you, he was looking to buy a car, correct?
Corect.
Correct.
Okay, and please confirm the following. You stated that you learned that Ms. Busiak wanted to sell her car, and you offered this option to Mr. You gave him Ms. Busiak's contact information, and then they arranged sale, correct?
Da, confirm.
Yes, I confirm.
All right, and after Mr. purchased the car, you stated that he decided to immigrate to the USA and offered the car to your father. And Mr. Kudu allowed your father to use the car, and if he liked it, he could buy it for the same price plus the expenses incurred for the registration and replacement of parts, but if your father didn't like it, he could sell it for Mr. while he was away. Is that correct?
Corect.
Correct.
Okay. According to you, Mr. your father a power of attorney for this purpose. And when you decided to buy the car, you asked Ms. Busiak if it was a problem to buy the car that had previously belonged to her, and she did not object.
Corect.
Correct.
And why would you ask Ms. Busiak if she objected to you buying a car that she had already sold?
Eu am întrebat sub aspectul că
I
dumneavoastră se
asked
cunoască că eu intenționez să procur
just
și dacă
because
dumneavoastră
I wanted
poate
her
să-mi
to
spui
know
părerea
that I
dumneavoastră, procuratorul dați
want to
nu știu
buy
care
this
mine
car
recomandați să
and
cunoașteți
to
foarte bun și
recommend
procur.
me to tell me if everything is okay with the car because it was in her.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end of that.
La care dumneavoastră mi-a recomandat automobilul, am menționat că
She was the one belonging, this car belonged to her, and I wanted to know for sure that everything was paid in time and the car was good for me to buy it. It was kind of a consultancy with her.
Okay, and when asked who else used the car, you stated that since the car had been registered to you, you were the only one that used it. Is that correct?
Da.
Yes.
And you concluded an RCA internal insurance contract on November 10, 2021 for the period of November 10, 2021 to November 9, 2022, correct?
Corect.
Correct.
All right. And when we asked you who used the Mercedes, you were also asked about information from the RCA database showing that in 2022, Ms. Busiak had obtained additional internal insurance for 12 months for a payment of 677 lei. And you disputed the information about Ms. Busiak's insurance policy and said the policy dates had been mixed up, and you furnished the RCA contract that had been concluded from April 2020 by Ms. Busiak for the period of 2020 to 2021. Correct?
Aceasta am indicat la întrebarea
Yes,
dumneavoastră.
this was my answer to your question. Yes.
Right. And we have showed you the RCA database information showing that as of May of 2022, Ms. Busiak had an additional internal insurance for 12 months for a payment of 677 lei, correct?
Dumneavoastră ați prezentat-o.
Yes, you have presented, but I can explain.
Okay.
Pot procede?
Can I start explaining?
Pot procede, da? Eu o să încerc
Yes.
să fiu foarte
I will try to be as coherent as possible.
Situația,
So,
cazul dat
this
considerat pentru mine
situation for me, it was something new. From the very beginning, when I received this as a question. If you remember, I gave very short answers. From the first round, question number 6, on 10 November 2021, you have purchased Mercedes E2020, 220, from a guy who was an officer from the anti-corruption center. And I looked at this and I was like, this is a mistake or this is someone putting a different blame on me? I don't have anything against the commission. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not misunderstood. I don't have anything against any members of the commission. But my doubt was that, I mean, who would be that officer? I don't know any officer from anti-corruption. And if my personal data looks like this, I don't know. I mean, if people accessed my personal data, they probably saw the identification number. And the identification of this person is, so it's a person that is my childhood friend, and this person never worked in the state institutions. He was actually abroad for many years. He was in England with his wife, actually with the woman he lived with. And I wanted to verify this information. And I actually verified the information, and there are two people with the same name, one working at the anti-corruption. But if you go to this Craiova region, you will find many people with the same name and surname. And I was shocked to see how you can make such a confusion in a database. It's like someone would do that in purpose or would collect information without verifying the information. I actually gave this explanation, but very shortly. I actually, what I want to repeat once again is that that person working at the anti-corruption, it's a totally different person. It's not my friend. And then I started to research because I wanted to understand what happened, how this mistake could happen. And in the second round of questions, you asked me about this car that was insured after you already bought it, after you already had it in your property. And I thought it could be a mistake because it's the same date, but it's a different year. And I wrote to the commission my answer. I suppose it's a mistake because, yes, the lady had this insurance, but not in 22, but in 2020. And when I started to go through the materials that I received Friday evening, I found a certificate that is actually annexed by you. I will find it just because this is something that you have presented me.
Right, and I think it's listed as Annex 3.
Da, să explic. Da, doar că eu nu am anexele
Yeah, but
cu mine,
just I don't
toate
have
au fost
the annexes
divizate.
here. They were all divided. Anyways, let me explain. So, in the documents that you have presented to me, there is an information from the database about the insurance of my car in 2022 on her name. And to me, I mean, it raised the question, this is impossible. I started to verify my insurance, and my insurance is from 10 November 2021. And it is indicated that any person that drives my car is covered by the insurance. And my insurance is valid till the end of 2022. Nevertheless, on 3rd of May, someone made this insurance. And in the certificate that is annexed, it is indicated the person and the number of the registration and registration certificate. So in my case, we have the real certification. But in the case of the insurance of 22, it's a totally different number of the document of the showing the origin of the car. And my question is, how this was possible to have an insurance on the same car but with a different certification number and on the other person? I mean, how this could happen in general? So Monday, because of course Saturday, Sunday I couldn't do this, nobody worked. I went to the National Commission of the Financial Market, and they received my request, and they requested me to pay a certain amount as a state tax to find out this information. And I paid that tax, and they gave me the answer. And here is the answer. From 13th of December, the contract, insurance contract was processed by a company in the name of Mold Cargo, and then it was cancelled. And then I solicited 2 other requests towards the insurance company and towards the broker that was indicated in that procedure, because I wanted to get to understand how this happened, because it's an unexistent registration certificate of the car. And I received the following answer from the broker and from the insurance company, Mold Cargo. Just a second, I will find it.
Does the documentation indicate the date on which the insurance was canceled?
No, it is not indicated. But just for you to understand, the National Commission of the Financial Market just informed me that this was created but that cancelled. And the broker... Can you hear, Victoria? Can you hear us? Okay, so the broker and the insurance company confirmed that there is no registration of such insurance at all. So it was not cancelled. It never existed. This is the answer, official answer from the broker and from the insurance company. And then the question is, who did this? Who made an insurance of a car in the period when I was already holding a valid insurance for that car? And was the purpose? Was the purpose to denigrate me or to and then I started to calculate, I started to dig deeper because it's a false document. Of course, a lot of doubts started to appear. I started to study all the materials from the Commission. And the people to whom I went to consult about this, they actually told me that I need to make an official complaint about this. Because again, I will repeat myself, Mr. was my friend. He never worked at anti-corruption. That is a totally different person. Then I have this insurance when I already had the insurance on that car. So what is this? I remember one more thing. When in May 2022, I was with my friends, and my friends told me, listen, you have to be very careful. The vetting commission at that time didn't start the activity. And he told me, there is an information that you brought in that period of time 20 cars. And I was shocked because that guy, he didn't have access to that kind of information. It was old information when I was a student. Nobody knew that information about me. So, of course, I made a few requests to verify who had access to my personal data. And the Public Service Agency offers me the list of access of people who accessed me, of like entities who accessed my personal data. And I still have a question. Why those people accessed so many times that? That's why I previously told you, please make sure to verify correctly that the information that you gather is true. Because in this case, this second insurance is absolutely false. And I think it might be related to the fact that someone wants to do something bad to me.
All right. And I have a question. Would there, in your opinion, would there have been an ethical problem if you had purchased a car from Nadija Busulyak while she was participating in your examination of applications authorizing criminal proceedings?
Okay, I saw this question. Let me clarify about the procedure. I was investigating judge, and we have participated in a few investigations. According to the legislation, we examined this during 4 hours. So it was not in the period when she purchased the car. We did not have procedures in examination. This special measure is examined during 4 hours. All the prosecutors from Chișinău, in my experience, they all had different requests related to the same procedure. But it's a procedure subjected to 4 hours. So it's not being examined for a long period of time.
Hadn't she participated with you in more than one examination during the period from 2019 to 2022?
La mai multe măsuri speciale investigați care se examinează, da, 21.
Actually, 2019, 2021. Yes, but it's an examination that, I mean, there are cases that you examine in 4 hours.
Okay.
That's my point. From the moment you receive it, and you have to finalize the examination in the same day during 4 hours. That's it.
Okay. So I take it that you do not believe there would have been an ethical problem if you had purchased the car from her while she was participating before you in examination of applications authorizing criminal proceedings?
Nu. Dumneavoastră m-ați înțeles.
No.
Okay.
According to the criminal code, when I was examining some files, I was actually obliged to abstain. I was obliged according to the law. And I did not examine files with her in those days. If you want to speak specifically about days, concrete days, I respected.
That you did not.
But I didn't have activities on a daily basis. I didn't have files together with her.
When such requests for authorization of criminal proceedings are received, they don't come every day. It's done as needed, so it's from time to time. Do you understand what I mean? So this procedure was the examination was finished in every cases. The procedure was finished by then.
But didn't you tell us that you declined to participate in some because of something going on with the transaction?
No.
No, I said that if I were to have cases, according to the criminal procedure code, I would have recused myself.
Okay.
But when we had the transaction, I didn't have any examination with her.
Okay. I'm going to move to another issue now, which is has to do with.
Victoria, can you just, Victoria, I think Nadia
Yes.
wanted to have one follow-up question on the previous issue. Shall we first do that before you move on to the next one?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, Nadia, go
Domnul
ahead.
Sandu, doar să clarific.
Mr. Sandu, just to clarify, you purchased this car on November 10th, 2021, right?
Vă rog frumos să indicați dacă
Please
după 10 noiembrie
Tell me,
2021
after November 10th,
ați
2021,
examinat
you examined
orice fel de
any kind of
caz
case
sau măsuri de investigație
or
de
investigation
aprobarea lor
measures,
în care a
authorizing
participat
investigation
procurarea
measures,
Nadejda Busuioc.
where Nadezhda Busuioc was party of
10
prosecutor.
noiembrie nu țin minte
After
dacă
November 20, I don't remember.
verific și pot spune, dar
I
nu
can
țin
check
minte.
and tell you, but I
Aspectul
don't remember.
Referitor, am vrut să indic,
I just wanted to say, because you asked who was driving. Until the day of purchase, I did not drive this. No, we're not speaking about that now. Please be precise. Secondly, from what you told the committee, you said that you found out that Nadezhda Busuioc wanted to sell her car. In what context did you find that? Are you friends, should I understand, or what? What's your relationship? I mentioned that in the first round. I know her. We took part in several national and international trainings with her. And similarly to on November 15th, I'm also invited 6 people from Moldova to the Czech Republic Selenium Institute about anti-corruption investigation cases. And recently, yesterday, I found out that she's also part of a group. And other judges, not only me, it's a group. Well, about the car, where did you find out? I had a private discussion with her. She was talking to someone that she wanted to sell the car because she was offered someone offered her another car and she wanted to change cars. And I explained that situation. When the pandemic started, came back to Moldova. Well, my question was strictly about another thing. In a regular relationship of a judge with a prosecutor, you can't find out that someone wants to sell their car. It's not like she comes to approve investigation measures and tell you that, oh, you know, I'm selling my car. So I was asking strictly, how did you find out about that? I heard her talking on the phone while waiting, and there were several prosecutors. There was a common discussion. And I wanted to explain. I didn't have any intention to buy this car initially. Moreover, this is proved by the fact that you purchased it for him, but subsequently he decided to urgently emigrate, not to the UK, but to the US. So the day he bought a ticket to go back to UK to solve some things related to his account, he made a power of attorney for my father. They talked to each other, and then it was both him and my father who told me about buying that car. They know each other, they are friends, they cross the state border together repeatedly. And during that time, this aspect is confirmed, but during that one, no, let me explain. Well, you are now answering about something that I did not ask you. I asked about Nadezhda Busuioc, not. We have collegial relations, similarly to other colleagues, judges and prosecutors.
Vitali, and then, very briefly, and then back to you, Victoria. Vitali.
Domnule Sandu, foarte pe scurt.
Mr. Sandu, very brief, clarification question on the same topic. Time-wise,
Acest automobil
this car
aparținea
belonged
doamnei Nadejda,
to
dacă să nu-i dăm familie.
Madam Nadezhda.
El a fost vândut
Then
domnului
it
Ion
was sold to Mr.
și
Ion,
respectiv, ulterior, a
and
fost achiziționat de către
then it
dumneavoastră.
was purchased by you.
Ați spus că ați comunicat
You
cu doamna
said that
Nadejda
you
Busuioc
communicated with
la
Nadezhda
etapa
Busuioc at
intenției de a procura acest
the time of
automobil.
the intention to
Atunci,
buy
întrebarea,
this car.
Dacă puteți să ne dați o explicație, în
And a
momentul când
question,
asta
can
nu
you
mai
give
era
us an
deja
explanation?
proprietatea
When
ei,
this wasn't
dumneavoastră
her
ați
property
discutat cu
anymore,
dumneavoastră în ce
and you
context? V-ați
talked to
gândit
her in
la
what
un potențial
context?
conflict de
Did you
etică
think of a
sau
potential
ați
conflict of
abordat un alt
ethics,
subiect? Tangențial
or
ați
what it about?
răspuns
I mean,
ceva
you
legat de
partially
starea
somehow
automobilului, dar
talked
vreau
about the
să-mi
condition
dați
of
o
the car, but I
explicație în
want
măsura
you
în
to
care
give us
să
an
înțeleg
explanation
exact.
so that
De
I
ce
can understand
dumneavoastră, în
precisely
calitate de
why
judecător,
you as a
având
judge,
intenția să cumpărați
having the
automobil,
intent to buy
erați
a
la un
car
terț,
from a
v-ați
third
adresat
party,
fostului
you go to the
proprietar
previous
în legătură cu
owner
acest
about that car.
autoturism.
Eu cunoșteam cine a fost
I
proprietarul anterior ce
knew
s-a
the
automobil.
previous owner of the car,
Și eu din start am sunat
and
și
from
am
the beginning I
anunțat. Mie
called
mi
and
s-a
I
propus.
announced,
Care
I
este
was
părerea
offered,
dumneavoastră?
what's
Vede o
your
problemă
opinion?
faptul
Does
că eu
she
să
see a
cumpăr automobilul
problem
dat
in
sau
me
nu?
buying the car or not?
Și mai mult
She
atât,
said,
referitor la
moreover,
starea automobilului,
about the condition of
mi-a
the car.
recomandat automobilul și a
She
spus că nu
recommended
vede
the
nicio
car and told me
problemă,
she doesn't see any
deoarece
problem because
înțelegere între mine,
the
eu și
understanding
domnie n-a fost
between,
niciuna.
there was
Eu
never
n-am
an
participat la niciun
understanding agreement
negociere,
between me and
eu nu m-am
her.
urcat la
I did not
automobilul
take
dat la
part
ziua
in any
procurării.
negotiation. I did not
Și în
drive it
perioada dată
until
s-a
the
fost
day
doar
of
one.
purchase.
Și mai
So
mult atât,
during that
intenția lui de plecare și
interim
blocat
time,
a
only
avut
one use.
toate mijloace care le
And
avea de urgență. Un automobil
when
care
he
venea
was
țara de
leaving,
serviciul la SAV, l-a vândut de
he
urgență o
sold all
companie
his
care vinde
property
automobile,
urgently, like
prin
an SUV
tranzacție
he had.
oficială,
He sold it for a
bancară,
company for
l-a
bank
prins
transfer
diminuat,
at
deoarece
a small
el de
price
urgență
because
au
he
decis să
urgently
emigreze în
decided
SUA.
to emigrate to the
Ceea ce
US.
și-au făcut. într-un
And
final.
actually, ultimately, so we did.
Okay, Victoria, go ahead with the next issue. Please proceed.
Okay, this has to do with another series of vehicle transactions. On 29 June 2019, your mother imported to Moldova 6 vehicles, total value of about 680,000 lei, including 1,470,000 lei declared value and approximately 210,000 lei customs taxes. 3 of these were registered at the Public Service Agency in your mother's name and 3 in the name of your father. Cars were sold at different times between 2019 and 2022. In response to written questions from the Commission, you stated that these vehicles were purchased in 2018 at auctions in the United States by a family friend. You provided a declaration from that person that stated that all 6 vehicles were bought in the U.S. The family friend stated that he proposed to your mother to purchase 1 car for her without additional cost in exchange for her carrying out the importing procedures in Moldova for these vehicles. The family friend also stated that the Yamaha motorcycle was imported for an individual named Vadim, and you also provided the declaration of that person that stated that the Yamaha motorcycle was imported for him. The Commission requested both the contracts for the purchase of the vehicles in the U.S. and for the sales in Moldova. You produced only the contracts for sale of the vehicles in Moldova. The seller in these contracts is either your mother or your father. Sales price in the sales contracts is either 1/2 or 1/3 of the declared value to customs, plus the paid taxes. The vehicles are listed on Annex 4, which we have furnished you. Please confirm that on 29 June 2019, your mother imported to Moldova 6 vehicles at a total value of approximately 1,680,000 lei, including 1,470,000 lei declared value and 200,000 lei in customs taxes. Can you confirm that?
Da, confirm.
Confirm.
Okay. And 3 of these vehicles were registered at the Public Service Agency in your mother's name, and I believe 3 in your father's name.
Confirm.
I confirm.
Okay. In response to questions from the Commission, you stated that the beneficiary, de facto owner of these vehicles, was the family friend.
Da, da. Dacă e posibil fără familie.
And the
Well,
owner
please
of the
no,
boats-
don't mention surnames.
Okay.
Sunt persoane terțe, dacă se poate.
These are third
în
parties,
general,
so if
referitor la
possible,
familie, dacă se poate fără
about
familie, toate
surnames.
persoane.
Let's
Sunt
not
persoane terțe, sunt
mention
persoane
them. They
publice,
are
nu au
third
lucrat
parties, not
niciodată în
public
instituții
people.
publice.
They never worked for the public service.
Okay. And the owner of the Volkswagen was your mother, correct?
Corect.
Correct.
And you indicated that the Yamaha motorcycle was owned by another individual. Is that correct?
Corect.
Correct.
And I believe your father ended up the owner of the Suzuki motorcycle, correct?
Corect.
Correct.
Okay. And according to the declaration of the family member, these 6 vehicles were bought at auction in the United States in 2018, and that he was the owner. So can you explain why the customs procedures were carried out in the name of your mother, but not in the name of the owner?
Am explicat anterior
I
în
explained
explicații,
previously
deoarece înțelege care au avut-o
the
ei,
understanding that they had. My mother was dealing
de achitarea și
with
efectuarea toate actele de
paying,
devamare care de asemenea au avut loc la
handling
frontieră
all
externă.
customs clearance
Și de ce au fost
documentation
demarate
at the
toate
border.
numele meu? Că
That's why they
eu
all the customs
că
clearance
e
documentation
prieten
wasn't
de
handled.
familie,
I want to
atât
clarify,
părinții,
he is a
noi suntem
family
prieteni
friend.
și personali,
Like we
între ei, dar cât
are.
și de familie. Apropiați.
Our parents are friends and we are friends, so we are close family friends.
And can you tell me what the documents were that were submitted by your mother to the Customs Authority for the importation of the 6 vehicles registered on behalf of your mother
Da.
or your father?
So,
Am
Tati,
verificat aspectul dat, deci,
I checked
conform
this.
materialele care au
According
fost
to the
expediate de
materials
dumnealui
that
prin
were
poștă deja autorizat
sent
de
by
vamare,
him by mail for
actele
customs
de
clearance, then
acte automobilului se numește total lost claim.
it was called total lost claims. When you buy a car on auction in the US, you get a sort of a page, especially in Washington state. It's like a computer page,
protecții de stat.
no state protection measures on that page. So you get
claim și
total lost claim is issued and bill of sale is issued. These are all documents that were attached at the stage of customs clearance.
Okay.
Ele toate
But you produced to the commission only the contracts for the sales of the vehicles in Moldova, correct?
Da, corect. Și am indicat,
Yes, and
am
I
indicat că
mentioned
dumneavoastră a solicitat
that
contract
you
de
asked
vânzare-cumpărare.
sale contract, purchase sale
eu
contracts.
am întrebat, deoarece și
And
în
then I
răspunsuri
asked,
am solicitat.
because even
Vă
in
rog,
answer,
Comisia
I
să
said,
verifice
please,
care
the
este
Commission,
procedura de
check what's
cumpărare
the
la licitații în SUA.
auction
Deoarece eu am explicat expres, contracte
purchase
de
procedure in the
vânzare-cumpărare nu
US,
se
because I
întocmesc,
said there
nu
are no
există.
contract sale purchase
Acest
contracts.
răspuns l-am primit de la dumnealui.
This is
Și
the
mai
answer
mult
that I
atât, el
received
mi-a
from him.
explicat.
Moreover, he
La
explained to me
licitații când cumpăr
that
se
when
ceră
they
doar
buy
două
at
fire.
auctions, you
Fila
get only
total
two
loss, care
papers, the
demonstrează
total
că
loss,
cumpărat la
the
licitație
thing that
și bill of sale.
it proves that you purchased it on an auction, and the bill of sale. All of that is kept with the customs service and with the public services agency at the time of registration. And during the registration, they are attached to the file.
Right, and you did not provide any copies of the bill of sales or other documentation that were furnished to customs about the terms of purchase of the vehicles, correct?
Nu sunt mi-am prezentat
I
toate
don't
actele.
remember. I
Eu
submitted
nu țin
all
de dumneavoastră
documentation.
solicitat
I don't
aceasta.
remember if you
Dumneavoastră
asked
ați
for
întrebat
that.
contract de
You
vânzare-cumpărare.
asked me
Eu am explicat
about
că nu
sale
există.
purchase contract. I told you that there is
Ulterior
none.
am explicat, vă rog frumos,
Then I
verificați care
explained,
este
please
procedura.
verify
Dumneavoastră
what's the
niciodată nu spuneți
procedure. You
că
never
bill of sale
asked me
și
for the bill of
total
sale
loss.
and
Eu le-am
total loss.
prezint mai mult că ele
I
sunt
have
toate
them. I have them
prezent, mai
here.
mult că
They are
eu am
all.
explicat expres în
Now, here I
explicații. Vă rog frumos,
explain
solicitați
them
toate
expressly.
actele,
Please
sunt
ask for all the
agenții
documents
servicii
there. The
publice
public
vamal.
services agencies and customs
Toate se
service.
păstrează acolo.
All are kept. All of them. All documents are kept there.
La mine nu sunt solicitați să le prezint.
I was not asked to submit these documents.
Okay. And according to the contracts for the sales in Moldova, the selling prices are either 1/2 or 1/3 of the declared value at customs, correct?
Nu valoarea declarată în vamă, valoarea stabilită de către coordonatorul vamal.
Not the value declared in customs, but the value established by the customs officer. I will explain that, and I will explain that in writing as well. What's any clarity about it? Clarity about it.
But the selling prices were either 1/2 or 1/3 of the price that was established at customs, correct?
Adică care stabilit în vamă posibil?
That's possible, then the price established in customs.
And how do you explain this buying, importing, selling activity of vehicles without registering any income? And what was the purpose of these transactions?
Din la prima rundă, eu am oferit
In
o
round one, I
explicație
offered
detaliată.
a
Doar
detailed
că
explanation.
poate nu a fost înțeles, deoarece
Maybe
a doua
I
rundă
was
m-a
not
întrebat
understood
ce fel
because
de
in
afaceri
round
aceasta.
two,
Eu am
I
explicat
was asked
expres,
what
aceasta
business
nu este
that is.
afacere.
This
Deci
is
o
not
să
a
aduc,
business. I explained that
detalii în timp.
expressly. So I
Persoana
will give you
dacă deține
details about
companii în
it.
SUA,
This
câteva companii,
person has several
doar una
companies
din
in the
companii
US.
are luat
Only
peste
one
10
of
milioane,
them
nu spun cât suma concretă,
has
dar
a
secret
turnover
comercial,
over 10
peste 10
million
milioane.
US dollars.
Persoana
I will not
dacă noi
say
suntem în
how much
relații
exactly
foarte
because
strânse,
that's
prieteni,
trade
știm aceeași
secret.
localitate,
We are friendly,
noi
we
am
have come from the
avut-
same
am petrecut
community,
foarte mult
we
timp
spent a lot of time together. Moreover, when he comes back to Moldova, or when I travel to the US, I always visit him. Every time he comes to Moldova, we have rest together, we spend time together while he's in Moldova. So, in 2018, he...
referitor la familie, sunt toate datele și
there are all data about his, and it's public information about the companies he has in the US. In 2018, early summer, sorry, end of summer, 28th of September. So, but he together with some other friends from the US who also have businesses, they wanted to start a business that will provide services for their businesses. So they wanted to start an outsourcing company. So he planned to spend regularly time in both Moldova and the US. So he decided to purchase a car for him and a motorcycle to have him permanently in Moldova, so that when he comes, he'll be having something to drive. If you notice, the first two ones that he purchased for him, the BMW and the motorcycle, the most expensive ones on that list, and the Suzuki, they were purchased on auction with smallest damage, so that they from the very beginning would be immediately repaired, and that would be his vehicles when he comes back to the country. He purchased these two vehicles at the end of the summer. He did not send them to Moldova, he kept it home in his town, and he did not buy them from the entire territory of the United States. He purchased only from the region where he lives. Talking to him, moreover, he purchased a car for his mother. It was a Toyota Prius. And at that time, my mother also had a Toyota Prius. The only thing is that they are very low, and my mother often had issues with hitting the bumper. So he had the idea to buy two high-raised cars, SUVs, for more comfort to his mother and my mother. And we agreed. I mean, if he buys there, if he buys them on auction in the US, he'll prepare them, will send them, transport them, no problem. In the meanwhile, I mean, this took several months because he was not coming yet to Moldova. In the meanwhile, he was talking to Vadim, which is another co-villager of ours. We're all friends together, and he told him, they talked to each other about his intention to come to Moldova, to get involved in business in Moldova, to cross the border very often, and he purchased these vehicles. And you can see the last one he purchased, according to the dates that are public online, was the ATV that he purchased at the request of Vadim. I did not even know about that ATV. Vadim said, please buy me an ATV, and since you send all this good in one container, include that one and bring it for me. And I wanted to make a reference, and I made that explanation in the first round about the purchase of these vehicles. When you buy a car from Europe, that's a private relationship and it is not documented anywhere, usually. But when you buy a car from the US on auction, the information is public on Google. And I wrote in the answer that I told the Commission, please check every WIN code, just Google it. You will get all the information, when it was purchased, at what price, and where this took place. And you will find the period when they were purchased and the order of purchase, what was the price paid on auction, because that is public information. This information you cannot alter, change. And you can see the places where it was purchased, and you can see that all of them were bought in the region where he works. And at the time between he purchased the first one and when he sent them much later because he did not have time to schedule with sea transfer. He sent them in 2019 but bought them half a year before, and he was just storing in that yard of the company that he owns. So he sent them 2018 2019, half a year later, because he didn't have time, he couldn't make this appointment with the sea transport company. About the customs value, I explained them in writing, and I won't explain it more. In customs, and I submitted to the commission all screenshots that were sent to me by this person. The price of the auction, and that price is public. Despite that, when they got to the customs, the customs officer says that this was not evidence, is not a concrete proof that this is the price, and they use Articles 6 and 10 of the law on, what's the name of that law? I made the reference with the right name of that law. And the customs officer increased those prices very, very much. And I can only give example of my mother's car that was purchased from the beginning for her, Volkswagen Tiguan, publicly. You can write in Google the VIN code of the car and you see the date of purchase, photos, and the price, $3,200. But the customs service writes 300,000 lei. I don't know how many times bigger. It's like 6 times more than the price paid officially. This is not like private information, like when you buy vehicles in the EU, when you have transactions with individuals. This is public information that you can find on Google. It's just the customs service deliberately increases the amount so that they statistically can inflate how much merchandise of what price they was brought to Moldova. And in the first and second round, I asked you, please check on Google. All the information is public.
Okay. I'd like to ask you quickly about the motorcycle, the Yamaha motorcycle that was to have been purchased supposedly on behalf of Vadim, and you produced a declaration from him to that effect that he was the owner of the vehicle. Did he ever take possession of the car? I mean, of the motorcycle?
Yes, I explained also in writing from the beginning that he was the de facto owner, the actual owner from the beginning. Customs clearance was not done in Chișinău, it was done at the border. They all were brought in a container, and the documentation for everything in the container wrote everything on my mother, that carrier wrote everything on my mother so that she would handle the import processes. Vadim was the de facto, the actual owner from the very beginning. From the moment of registration, according to the national legislation, the primary registration can be done only on the name of the person who paid the customs duties, not on someone else, and being in very close relations.
My question was whether he ever took possession of the motorcycle.
From the beginning, immediately.
Okay, and then your mother, however, then registers it in her name 4 months later.
Deci, aduc la cunoștință.
I'd like to inform you. Why 4 months? Because they all purchased on auction as slightly damaged. And these 4 months was a period where he bought some spare parts for direction, like and something for wheels. So he brought the new, he brought the new spare parts. When it was repaired, it was registered and it went through the technical review. So this took several months indeed. I didn't even count how much time it took. When he repaired.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I never kept records of when did he repair, when he registered it. I really didn't keep track of that. You say it took several months, it means that the repairs took several months.
Okay. And did he ever pay your mother for the motorcycle, or did he pay the friend in the U.S.?
To the friend in the U.S. He did not pay anything to my mother.
And subsequently, after 6 months, And 4 months after the import, your mother registered the motorcycle in her name, and then after 6 months, she sold the motorcycle to an individual who is not Vadim, correct?
Da, aduc la cunoștință. După ce el
Yes,
s-a folosit de el,
after he used it,
acesta este un ATV. S-a folosit, a
this is an
decis,
ATV.
nu știu, acum și văd lunile, a decis că dorește să-l vândă.
He decided he wanted to sell it. He dealt with the sale. He found a buyer. My mother was not involved. She doesn't know, and she never got money from the buyer. She did not negotiate. The person is there. The commission may find it. Ask that person if a person knows me or my mother at all. If my mother ever have any connection with negotiation, or at least be present during the negotiation between Vadim and the buyer after 1 year or how long it took.
Okay. And this buying and importing and selling vehicles was something you did before becoming a judge when your parents were not involved, correct?
N-am înțeles întrebarea, dacă se poate încă o dată.
I did not understand your question. Could you please repeat it?
Well, the importing and selling vehicles was something you did before becoming a judge, and your parents were not involved in your activities at that time, were they?
Eu am explicat anterior care a
I
fost
explained
implicarea
previously what
mea
was my
în
involvement
aceste
in
înregistrări. Eu
these
am avut o implicare
registrations.
auxiliară
I
în
had
general.
an
Eu am
auxiliary
explicat expres.
involvement. I explained that expressly.
Okay. And are you helping your parents in any way? Did you help your parents in any way with the import of the 6 vehicles?
Am explicat
I
repetat anterior.
explained
Părinții mei
repeatedly
nu s-au ocupat
previously.
acolo, era
My
de
parents
partea
don't handle
afacerii.
it.
Așa să nu
It was
reprezint,
business.
părinții mei nu
You
au
had the
afaceri
word business.
dumneavoastră.
No, my
Nici
parents don't have a
persoana care
business in
expedează
this
America
field.
nu se
Not
ocupă
even
cu
the
aceasta.
person who is in the
Aceasta a
US.
fost doar o
It's not a business.
singulară
This was a
tranzacție, o singulară
once,
expediere cu scop
one-time
personal.
transaction sending
Scop
for
personal.
personal purposes.
Nu am avut tangență, nu am achitat niciun
No
loc,
connection.
nu
I
am
did
fost
not
implicat.
pay
Eu am
anything. I was
explicat
not
expres
involved. I
fiecare. Și
explained
doar
it expressly
ca să
for
înțelegeți,
each
ca
of
să
these
fie
cases.
cum au
And
indicat
I
aici,
wanted
au
to
întrebări,
understand,
afaceri, trebuie să
to
fie lungă
have it a
durată.
business, this should be
Aceasta a fost
long
doar
term,
o
but this was
singură
one
acțiune.
time, one action.
I'd like to now ask you about, and you've alluded to what you consider to be abusive actions by customs officials when calculating customs value of vehicles and setting a higher value. And just briefly, as backgrounds for facts, we referred earlier to the Toyota Corolla car that you purchased with a declared value to customs and taxes totaling approximately 80,000 lei. In your NIA declaration, you indicated the purchase price of 70,000 lei. In your 2017 declaration, you indicated the sales price for that vehicle 3 years later is 4,000 euros. You also imported a Skoda Superb model year 2008 and 2017 with a declared value to customs and fees totaling approximately 170,000 lei. In your 2017 NIA declaration, you indicated the purchase price was 6,000 euros, more than 2,000 euros less than what that had been declared to customs. In your 2020 NIA declaration, you indicated the sale of the Skoda at the price of 120,000, approximately 4,000 euros, less than half of the declared value to customs 2 years earlier. In 2019, your mother imported the 6 vehicles we've just discussed, and 4 of those vehicles were sold within a year of import, and one was sold 2.5 years later, the one that your mother had had. The stated price on the contracts for the sale of the 3 vehicles was half of the declared value to customs at the import. For 2 of the vehicles, the sales price was 1/3 of the value declared to customs. When you were asked by the Commission about the considerable difference between the customs value and that indicated in the declarations that you submitted to NIA and/or the contracts related to the sales of the vehicles in Moldova, you indicated the customs employees, you accused them of abusive actions by intentionally increasing the amounts in order to collect higher taxes. And we have a list for you at Annex 5 of all of the vehicles that I've just mentioned. And please confirm that you imported the 2 vehicles I described and that your mother imported the 6 vehicles described in question 22 of round 2. of the questions from the commission.
What's the question? Confirm what?
I asked you to confirm that the two vehicles that I described, the Toyota Corolla and the Skoda, and the 6 vehicles your mother imported, I just wanted you to confirm that you had imported those 2 and your mother had imported the 6 that were described.
Eu confirm că eu am importat aceste două, doar că
I
eu ce
confirm
înțeleg
that
că acum
I
direct
imported
Škoda
this
Superb,
too, but
preț declarat la NII
I am
4.000 de euro,
trying to
contact
understand
120.000 de lei,
120,000 lei is not 4,000 euro. Look at the number 2. I mean, the price is calculated. 120,000 lei is not 4,000 euro.
E minimum 6.000 de euro.
It's at least 6,000 euro.
Well, that has the purchase price as 6,000 euro in column 4, contractual price, and the sales price at 4,000 euro.
De vânzare, da. Dar nu 4.000.
Yes, but it's not correctly calculated. Look at the calculation. 120,000 lei, it's not 4,000 euro, it's 6,000 euro. It's the same exact price.
He's saying that instead of 4,000, it should be 6,000 for the 120,000 lei.
And I'm sorry, are we looking at the Skoda?
Ok, noi ne uităm la...
Skoda numărul 2 asta.
Yes, Škoda. Yes, exactly. Look at those figures.
Okay, and so the 120,000 should be 6,000 euros, correct?
Da, eu, da.
Yes,
Eu nu
correct.
știu concret care e cursul, dar în jur de 6.000.
I don't know exactly the amount, but it's around 6,000.
Acum am depistat că mă uitam.
Okay, but the sales price in your declaration to NIA was 4,000 euros, correct?
Nu, 6.000 a fost.
No, it was 6,000, not 4.
Este greșeală tehnică.
It's a technical mistake, I suppose.
I'm sorry, I think you, in 2017, I believe you declared the purchase price at 6,000 euros. And then I think you said the sales price to NIA in your declaration for 2020 was 4,000. Are those figures correct?
Nu. În declarația mea,
No,
acum
in
deschid
my
declarația,
declaration, I'm gonna
îți
open it now.
prezentat de către comisie, 6.000 de euro.
It's 6,000 euro here.
For the sale in 2020?
Și dacă ne uităm la vânzare, 2020. 120.000 de lei.
120,000 lei. It is indicated 120,000 lei
Declarația pe venit.
Okay, and that should be
in the
approximately
declaration. And this is
6,000, correct?
6,000, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, and just please confirm that when we asked you about the differences between customs value and in the declarations you submitted to NIA and/or in the contracts relating to the sales of these vehicles in Moldova, you accused customs employees of abusive actions by intentionally increasing the amounts in order to collect higher taxes. Is that correct?
Eu nu m-am plâs, eu am indicat în
I did not
răspuns la
complain.
întrebări.
I was
Eu n-am
just
făcut nicio
answering to your questions. I didn't make any official complaint. I explained to the Commission that was my opinion, that they made some abuse, but I didn't make official complaints. If there are some reasonable doubts about the vehicles bought in Europe, it's one situation. But in the case of the vehicles from USA, you just Google the code of the car, of the vehicle, and you will see it's public information. You will see that customs service, and let's speak just exactly about my mom's car. $3,200 was in the price, and they declared 18,000 at the custom. 18,000 euro. I mean, it's a crazy different price. Even if you make a lot of improvements in that car, it will not reach that price. And in the case of all the cases, there is Article 8 and Article 10 that allow those people from the custom to decide on their own. It doesn't matter what kind of documents you present them.
Okay, so if you believe that abuses were committed in those instances or others, would those not be acts of corruption committed by the customs employees? If so, why have you not filed a complaint?
What do you mean corruption acts? If you do not agree with their actions, let's just talk about you not being agree with what the border police, no, not border police, customs service, okay, customs service. If you do not agree, did not agree with their actions, why you didn't make any complaint? Okay, let me explain. This is their evaluation report. According to the law, they have the right to decide on that. I showed proofs about the real price of that vehicle. I mean, if they decided to put that price, this did not affect me and I didn't complain. Can you hear? Can you hear us now? Okay. Yes. So he didn't make a complaint, he says, because it didn't affect him. It was not on his name. He saw this when he received the questions in the round of questions, in the first round of questions, and it's only then when he saw those big differences. But at that point, he didn't went into details. And I will explain once again. In the case of the cars that are bought in Europe, the customs service can have reasonable doubts because there are private documents. But in case of the cars imported from the United States of America, it's public information. You always can check on Google the price with which that specific car with that specific personal code was sold. So in the case of the customs service deciding upon some tax, duties, I mean, it's their decision based on the law. They have the right to decide. But of course, when I started to go deeper in this, I saw that they made these calculations and it was a huge amount there. And maybe you should ask them and they can give you better explanations why they did that.
Victoria, I think Nadia
Someone have a
question?
Nadezhda has a question, Victoria.
Victoria, if you are done with this issue before changing the issues, or you still have questions on this issue?
Victoria, do you still have questions for this issue?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Then Nadia, okay.
Domnul Sandu, o precizare cu privire
Okay,
la
Mr.
ultimul
Sandu,
aspect.
about the last question, just to make sure, a clarification. You understand that what you have presented to the Commission refers to the fact that you did not agree with the value that was declared in the custom, and you are asking us not to trust the custom service, but to trust you, your declaration. Is that true? Because you believe that the customs service does not establish correctly the tax. I did not ask you to trust me. I think you should just make a simple research and you can find this information because it's public information. I told you from the very beginning, please Google this information. It's public information. Okay, I understood. But when you present in your annual declaration some information about the costs, about the expenses, it means that you do not actually show there what you paid at the custom, but what you wanted to pay. No, I actually declare how much I paid. I made a calculation. Yes, but you make your own calculation, not based on the documents. Yes, I make based on my own calculation. Because you don't trust the system? No, because I paid less for that car. And how can I indicate a higher amount? And this happened with many cars. Yes, I'm speaking about a few cars, yes. And you never made a complaint for the custom service? To be honest, about Toyota and the other one, I didn't actually verify, because the custom service gives you a bunch of documents. And it's not like you can negotiate there. You just take the document. I kept the information, not for Škoda, but for Toyota. And this is from the custom. Look at this document. These are originals. They are giving you just a bill confirming that you paid that amount. And the amount that you pay is not created based on the cost of the car that you actually paid by, but it is based on the capacity of the engine. And here, look at this. It's a small amount of the purchase. And then custom value was the price that they decided to put there. So this is a bill indicating the services of the custom service. So it's not like a separate document that you can go and complain about. You pay at that moment, or you disagree, and then your car is stuck there. That's it. Okay, when you received those questions, you said that it's action, they had abusive actions.
Victoria, you want to follow up on this?
Victoria, you want to
Because I
follow
have
up on this?
Two more.
Because she has two more questions on the previous issue.
Go ahead. Well, I did have a further, I just wanted to confirm, Judge Sandu, you just referred to the documentation that you received at customs for the Toyota Corolla. And does that include the information about the price paid, the sales purchase contract for the purchase of the Toyota Corolla?
Am să întrebare concretă.
Care documente v-ați referit acum?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking me. Nadezhda is trying to explain once again. So, Victoria, it was about Toyota Corolla?
Yes, because I believe he just showed us the documentation and said this was what he had received from customs. And I believe he said attached to it was the either the purchase contract or information about the amount that he had paid to purchase the Toyota Corolla.
No, actually, it is not indicated. The price is not indicated here. And that's actually the interesting fact. So you can look at this, but you received this. They indicate here only the value that they want. They do not agree to indicate the price that I showed them for the purchase. So they don't even look at that. They only take into consideration the engine capacity. Of course, we have a contract, we have all the documents attached to this car. But the fact that they didn't introduce the price of the car here is something that I found out when the Commission started to ask me about this. I didn't go into those details. And I started to make a research about how the custom is working. And they said that usually what they do, and it's according to the law, they make a statistical data, they go to the statistical data and they calculate only upon the capacity of the engine of the car and the year of the production. And it has anything to do with the actual price of the car. For them, it doesn't, they don't care.
And Judge Sandu, did you previously provide the documentation that you're looking at right now about the Toyota to the Commission?
No, I actually have sent this documentation after the first round of hearings. I send you everything I had at home, and I'm sure you have all of these documents.
Yes, it is, Victoria.
Yes, Victoria, we have that.
Okay.
Doar o precizare. Dumneavoastră ați indicat că
Just to clarify, you have indicated that for those 6 imported cars in 2019, actually that were processed at the border by your mom, she paid the taxes at the custom duties. So from what sources did she pay that? My parents personally paid that, and then that sum, that amount was deducted from the price of the car, and all the taxes were received, all the money from the taxes was received by the mother of the boy. She actually mentioned this. My parents, we did not send any money. Everything was, so it was the mother of the friend who gave your mom money? No. At the stage of purchase, it was bought in the USA. No, I speak about the custom duties. My parents, from their own money, paid that. But then a recalculation was made. Okay, according to the income of your parents, in 2019-2020, she had in total 140,000 lei. We don't have information about the income of your father in the Republic of Moldova. I send you all the banking information from my father's account in Spain. Yes, and my parents in 2018, they sold 2 real estate. I don't know exactly what is the what are the amounts of my parents. I do not control that. My parents have legal income for all the periods of times, and all the real estate is legally obtained, and it's all the information about that is provided. And before the pandemic, he would come to Moldova only for vacation. Okay, I understood. Mr. Sandu, from everything that you said, we have the following information. In 2013, you were involved in the import of approximately 20 motorcycles on the name of your brother-in-law. And then later you imported 10 vehicles, cars. In 2014, 2015, you were importing personally 2 cars, and then your mom is involved in custom services. For a person who is observing this from a side, the impression is that it's a continuous activity. Can you explain? Okay, yes, I can. So, okay, about the first 20 vehicles. They were all imported when my sister was married. After she divorced, look at the years. Those activities stopped. When it comes to registration about those 10 vehicles, 2008, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2014, 2 of them did not belong to us, those Honda and Suzuki from 2010. The rest, 8 of them, they were all belonging to my family. And it was in different periods of time, in 7 years. 8 transportation means 8 vehicles in 7 years. And we never had them in the same time. First it was a Polo, then we wanted a bigger car, a Golf, Volkswagen Golf. It belonged to my family. Then we decided we want something better, Mercedes. Yes, you already talked about that. So approximately once in 1 year or in 2 years, you would sell the car and buy a new one. So can I consider this kind of a passion in the family to change the cars? Listen, we never bought new cars. When you purchase a new car, you use this car for a long time because it's a new car. The majority of the transportation means of the vehicles that were brought from abroad, they were used. And they, of course, are related, those vehicles are related to maintenance costs. And once in a year or 2 years, yes, we were changing those vehicles. And you can see that in the documents, in the chronology, that once in 2 years approximately, we were changing our cars. And all of them were for personal usage. If you look at all this data, you will see that we actually use this in the family. We maintained them in good shape. We made insurance for all of them. So everything was legal. And in my family, every single member is a driver. My mom, since the year 2000, she's daily driving.
Victoria, can you please go on with the next issue?
Victoria, can you go to the next issue?
Was Nadia done?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 2 last issues to address. The first one has to do with a case you handled in 2017. In 2017, you examined the complaint from 4 November 2016 of the Party of Socialists of Moldova against NGO Rise Moldova and the investigative journalist Yuri Sandu, who carried out the journalistic investigation regarding the alleged illegal financing of the Party of Socialists by Russian Federation through offshore companies. At that time, you were a judge appointed by the president for 5 years and were to be considered by the president for a lifetime appointment in 2020. The complainant sought to refute the facts from the journalistic investigation. The case was heard after Igor Dodon, the leader of the Party of Socialists, won the presidential election. In your judgment, as the first instance court, you satisfied the complainant's demands, partially admitting the PSRM's request to sue and obliging Rise to publish a denial. Higher courts upheld this decision. NGO Rise and Yuri Sandu challenged this decision at the European Court of Human Rights. The ECHR found a violation of Article 10 of the ECHR, the right to freedom of expression, during the period when the case was pending before your court. On 12 May 2017, then President Dodon stated on TV that after all there was, as far as I know, a court decision that forced Rise to deny this and apologize. Your decision, however, was not issued for a good 7 months later until 21 December 2017. Can you confirm the facts I set forth regarding the procedure and activities in the case?
Do you have any concrete questions, or you want me to tell more about the case? Yes, I did examine that. Nadezhda repeated the question. So he said, yes, I examined that.
Okay. And can you explain why a decision was not issued until 21 December 2017?
Because that's when the final stage of the examining the file happened. I mean, what do you mean when you're asking why so late?
Was the matter continued on successive occasions?
What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking me. Okay, she asked you because the request was in November 2016 was the request. Why this lasted for so long? Let me explain, because it's yes, I received this from you, this question from you, and I read it. Okay, so initially we received 2 requests within this case, and it was a case for 2 judges, and it was about 2 complainants. And in one case, the party was the complainant. Then the judge, the second judge, he actually had to be an investigative judge, and I was given the case further. And in that article, it is written that on 12 May 2017, Mr. Dodon declared that by the end of the day, it was a judge decision. And your decision was pronounced in 21st of December 2017. And from what I understood, Mr. Igor Dodon, like the president, spoke about this before a decision was taken, before my decision was taken. To be honest, I am not watching TV, and it was 2 different causes, but 2 different cases, but the object was the same, the news. And it was in February 2017. So it was actually 1 year before my decision. And it was another case. I didn't listen to that interview. And I think he actually referred to that decision that was made before the TV show. My decision was in November 2017. So, I mean, the president did not refer to my decision. He referred to the previous decision that was made in February 2017 by another judge, because as I said at the beginning, it was 2 judges. So the material that was in that TV show, this was not referring to this case, to my situation. This was referring to a different case.
Okay, according to the law on integrity, number 82/2008, the Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct of Judges adopted by the General Assembly of Judges in 2015, a judge should inform a president of the court about improper influence on his activities. Was there any improper influence or interference in your activity from any of your colleagues, court leadership, politicians, or anyone else in relation to your examination of the case?
No.
No.
And given that your candidacy was to be examined by President Dodon at the end of your 5-year term appointment, do you believe your impartiality could have been called into question for hearing a case involving the party of Igor Dodon?
Okay, let me make a referral here. So, the Civil Code, point 7, foresees that there are a few situations when the judge can abstain. So from what I understand, you refer to the last point. The fact that I was initially appointed as a judge for 5 years, this did not mean that, it's not about a doubt related to my performance. So let's look at this concrete situation. I was named a judge by Mr. Timofti. This was the previous president of the Republic of Moldova. Since 2015, on the 4th of February, since I was named judge, drafts about justice legislation amendment was constantly, so the amendments were constantly happening. So, of course, at that point, everyone was talking about the fact that this regulation might change about this 5 years mandate. And I never knew if the law is going to stay as it is or it's going to be changed. This is the first thing. The second thing, when it comes to the right of the president to call, to name judges, this is not something absolute. If, for example, a person believes, the president believes that there is a reason to cancel, to refuse, and if there is an official decision about that, it doesn't matter what the situation is, but this can also come from someone else. And then the judge, the Supreme Court, is evaluating this. And in case the Court of Justice from Chișinău, if we speak about the Court of Justice from Chișinău, we speak about people with at least 5 years of experience. And then, eventually, the person, the judge, would be renamed by the president. But let's see, let's imagine that a judge that is already in this in his so he's already working. In this case, any promotion is made by a presidential decree, a presidential decision.
Every judge dreams to be promoted to a higher court. I mean, that means that there could be doubts about just any first-level court judge. According to the law, promotion to a higher court is also done by presidential decree. And he was not party to. Just a second, I want to make one reference. I noticed something. The defendant on that case is a company, well, it's a news portal, and a journalist, investigation journalist. They all knew, according to the procedure, all knew that I was appointed for 5 years. No one declared recusal. And while I was examining it, you can ask the participants to the proceedings. You can ask the defendant, was I impartial during the proceedings, or did they declare any recusal to me? They did not have any doubt. Moreover, I was asking at every meeting, the parties, do you still believe the court? They always confirmed it.
Okay. So I take it that you do not believe that your impartiality could be called into question for hearing a case of the party of President Dodon while you were to be considered for a permanent appointment.
He was not even a participant in that case.
Correct. I said his party was a party.
I explained, if you understood what I wanted to say. Parties never had any objection, and you know that during the examination, some participants to the proceedings submit recusal declaration. But in this case, both defendants, because it's the news portal as well, and their defense, they trusted entirely. You can ask their opinion at every meeting if I was impartial, if I violated any of their rights during the examination of the case. Never. And that was public hearing and there are audio recordings. At every meeting, trust towards the court was confirmed at every hearing.
Given the European Court of Human Rights judgments, how would you comment on your decision of 21 December 2017?
Hotărârile de judecată nu se discută, ele se execută. Eu
Court
apreciez,
judgments are not discussed, they have to be
eu am
enforced.
citit
I
atât
appreciate that. I
deciziile
read
Curții de
the
Apel,
decisions of the Court of
deciziile
Appeal,
Curții
the
Supreme,
decision of the Supreme
deoarece ele
Court,
toate,
because
hotărârea mea
my
fac referire.
decision to
Eu am
make a
emis-o
reference.
după
I issued it
9 luni după ce
9
era o
months
hotărâre
after
identică. Doar că
an
ulterior, la Curtea de Apel,
identical
hotărârea
decision
cea
was
identică
issued,
a
but
fost anulată
later
pe
on at
motiv
the
de
Court of
procedură.
Appeal, the
Au fost
identical
atacate
decision was
careva moțiuni și au fost
forced because of
transmise
a
la
procedural
rejudecare
violation.
în
It
primă
was
instanță.
sent to
Pe când
re-examination
hotărârea
in
mea,
first level
substantiated
court.
procedură
But
a fost
my
confirmat corect
decision
și a
was
fost
confirmed in terms of
mulțumit de
procedure and
Curtea
was
de Apel, de
upheld
judecători cu experiență,
by the
cât și
Court of
de
Appeal
Curtea
by
Supremă.
experienced judge and by the Supreme
Judecători
Court,
cu experiență.
also
Toți au
judge with
confirmat-o.
experience. They
Mai
all
mult ca atât,
confirmed it.
aceasta era
More
practica.
over,
Eu nu
that
știu
was
cât e
the
corect,
practice.
dacă
I don't
doriți
know well how correct that
facem
is, but
parte de
if
ședință
you want, we
închisă,
can
că eu să
have a part
explic
of a
care
closed
fost
hearing,
necesitatea motivării
and I
mele
can
și
explain
întrebările
what
am pus
was
participanților, la care
the reasoning
și,
of my
clientul a
decision,
recunoscut în parte
what questions
o
I asked,
întrebare.
and the defendant admitted the
Eu nu știu
question
cât e de corect
partially.
să
I don't
spun
know.
aceasta în
I don't know if
dar
I
eu
can
pot să
state that
explic și o să
publicly, but I
explic
can
tot, adică
explain.
aceasta era
I can
practica.
explain this.
Referitor, după
This
ce
was
a
a
fost
practice.
depusă o solicitare
And
la Curtea
after
Europeană,
an application
a fost
was lodged
făcută o
with
sesizare,
the
o
European
solicitare
Court,
de către a fost, stați să-mi aduc aminte în
let me
perioadă.
try to recall time-wise.
A fost raportată guvernului și
It was
guvernul a
reported to
depus
the
o cerere de
government, and the
revizuire.
government
Guvernul cere
made
de
a
revizuire,
request
am
to
citit-o și pe
revise.
aceea.
I
În cerere de
read that
revizuire a menționat că aceste
request to
acte
revise
sunt
it,
acte de
and
valoare
it says that
care nu
these
urmează să
evaluation
fie
exits
demonstrate.
have to
Și a
be
solicitat că să fie
proved, and
revizuite. Curtea de Apel în
have to be for them to be revised. And the
2018,
Court of Appeal in 2018, 19, I don't remember, maybe even 2020, the Court of Appeal
a admis revizuirea agent guvernamental și
allowed the
a
revision
dispus
by
la
the
o nouă
governmental
judecare.
agent and decided
Da,
on a
agentul
new
guvernamental-
examination.
agentul guvernamental,
But the
la
governmental
solicitarea
agent,
părții,
at the
a solicitat,
request
vă
of
rog
the
frumos,
parties,
constatați
asked,
articolul
please
încălcare articolul
find
10
the
Convenției,
evaluation of
căci
Article 10 of
aplicarea
the Convention
despăgubirilor.
and payment of
Deci, prin decizia Curții de Apel,
damages.
fost
In the decision of the Court of Appeal,
anulată hotărârea mea anterior,
They
prin cerere
cancelled-
de revizuire, prin admitere.
through allowing
Fiind
that
examinată
request to
din nou complet
revise,
de curte-
but
la
when
Curtea de
it
Apel,
was
dumnealor a
considered by
respins cerul
another
până la judecată,
panel
dar
at the
a
Court of
menționat în
Appeal,
parte
they
constatări articolul 10, dumnealor
they
consider că
said
nu
that
este corect
based
să
on
fie
Article
constatat.
10, it's not
Prin-
correct to
prin faptul că a fost
state
respins
that violation.
cererea,
But the fact that the
reclamat față de cei doi
request of the
părinți, prin sine
defendant towards the
reprezintă că s-a constatat că a
request of
fost
the plaintiff
încălcat
towards
dreptul lor
the
la
defendant.
expunere,
That
la
means
exprimare.
that their right to
Referitor
expression
la
was violated.
pagube, care
But
era
in
pagube,
terms of
Curtea a
damages,
menționat că nu este
the
competent
court
să
says that
expună.
they are
Ulterior,
not
după ce a
competent
apărut
to express on that.
decizia
And
curții,
later on,
decizia CEDO,
after
eu am
the
citit-o și pe
European
ea,
Court
ea este
decision
în
was
engleză.
issued, I read it. It is
Decizia
available
CEDO
in
nu se
English.
face
The
referire la hotărârea
decision
mea.
does
La
not
momentul
make any
emiterii
reference to my
deciziei
decision.
CEDO,
At the
hotărârea
time
mea
when
deja
the
a fost și
decision
revizuită și anulată.
from the
Ei,
European
în
Court,
mare
my
parte,
decision
fac
was
referire
revised
doar
and
la
cancelled.
ultima decizie
They
Curții de
only, the
Apel,
European
pe
Court
care
decision
mi-a
only
spus
makes
Curtea de Apel,
reference
prin
to
faptul că
the last
cererea
decision from the Court
și-a
of Appeal,
constatat faptul
saying that by the
că
fact that the Court
nu
of
este
Appeal
necesar
rejected
constatarea
that
articolului 10
request and
prin
it said that it is not
motivând că
necessary to
doar
find violation of Article
respingerea
10,
cererii deja
saying that
este o
only
satisfacție
rejection
echitabilă.
of that
CEDO a spus, nu
request
considerați
is
că CEDO,
it's a
dumnealor consider că
satisfactory
era
remedy.
necesar să fie constatat
But the European
încălcarea
Court said that
articolului
it was
10 și
important to
actarea
state that there was a
despăgubirilor, la
violation and
care
payment
Curtea
of
de Apel
damages.
o
But the
respins
Court of Appeal
actarea
rejected
despăgubirilor.
payment of
Și dacă o să
damages.
citiți hotărârea CEDO,
And if you
în
read the
motivare,
European Court
nici nu se face
decision,
referire la hotărârea
in
mea. Se
their
face referire
reasoning,
doar
they
la
don't
ultima
make
hotărâre
reference
a
to my
Curții,
decision,
deciziei Curții
only
de Apel,
to the last
pe care
decision
și-a
of the Court of
constatat că
Appeal
ei nu-
that
ei
found
consideră,
that they
Curtea de Apel,
believe
pe
that the Court of
decizia considerat
Appeal
că nu este competent de actat
believe that
despăgubiri și de constatat
they are not
încălcarea articolului 10.
competent to rule
Ca să
on
fac
the
o
violation of
referire.
Article
Păi,
10
hotărârea
and
este în,
on payment of damages.
publică și este în
The
engleză.
decision is public and is in English.
Nu, anunț toți participanții pot să facă
I inform all participants of it. Everyone can see it. I mean, my decision is of 21st of December 2017, and you will see that in the reasoning of the European Court, it refers only to the Court of Appeal decision about non-payment of damages and stating that violation.
Dar aici vreau să fac o
But
clarificare.
I want to make a
Noi respectăm
clarification.
toți,
We
conform tratatul
respect
internațional
everyone
cu
according to
CEDO, și mai
international
mult ca atât
treaties,
este
European Court decision,
o claritate
decisions,
pentru
and there is a
viitor,
clarity
pentru
for the
toți
future,
judecătorii
for
și
all the
toți
judges,
profesioniștii
for
din
all
domeniu, cum
professionals in
corect
this field,
urmează să fie
how
aplicată, legislația în astfel de
legislation
cazuri.
shall be applied in such
Dar,
cases. But
dacă se va va solicita anunțarea întrerupere
it
și
is
deschisă,
requested
spun câteva
for
aspecte de ce
interruption and having closed hearings, I can tell you about questions and what I relied on and what the defendant partially
Și acestea au
agreed
fost
to.
punctele pe care eu am
These
putut
were
referi, doar că
the
eu nu cred că e
aspects
etic
that I referred to, but I just don't think it's ethical for me to talk about that in an open hearing, public hearing.
Eu cu cea mai mare plăcere, nu considerați că este
But
decizia
since
revocată,
it
pot
is
să discut
an
și pot să vă explic
irrevocable
comisiei.
decision, it's my pleasure. We can talk. I can explain it to the Commission.
I'd like to ask you about one other decision on April 2nd of 2018. A court panel comprised of Sergiu Kiobanu, president of the panel, Jan Kirotaka, and you pronounced the verdicts in the criminal case on the attempt to assassinate the leader of the Democratic Party of Moldova, Vladimir Plahotniuc. The panel sentenced 6 people to terms from 3 years to 20 years in prison. On 18 December 2018, the Chișinău Court of Appeals partially annulled your decision and imposed stricter sentences for the 6 defendants. On 24 March 2020, the Supreme Court of Justice admitted the appeal filed by the defendants' lawyers, quashed the Chișinău Court of Appeal decision of 18 December 2018, and ordered the retrial of the case by the same appellate court before a different panel of judges. On 11 November 2021, the Chișinău Court of Appeal, in retrial proceedings, rejected the prosecutor's appeal, admitted the defendants' lawyers' appeals, and acquitted all 6 defendants on the assassination attempt count. In October 2019, a public media source published a report about the criminal investigation initiated against the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Justice, Ion Druta, for alleged improper interference with the administration of justice. According to this public source, during a search at the Chief Justice's chambers, documents were seized that included a list of several cases that reached the Supreme Court, the names of the assigned judges with notations apparently describing suggested outcomes. The TV station published the respective list. On point 7 of this document, the above-mentioned case is described as very important. Furthermore, there is a remark that reads as follows: it is requested to expedite the examination. The document provides the procedural history of the case and contains information about the court panels, including your name. It makes reference to your decision of 2 April 2018, pronouncing the verdicts, and the Court of Appeals decision of 18 December 2018, and indicates that the defendants and their legal representatives submitted appeals. The document concludes with the following sentence, quote, purpose, declare inadmissible appeals submitted by the defendants or their representatives and upholding the Court of Appeals decision of 18 December 2018, end quote. Please confirm that you were a member of the court panel that pronounced the verdicts in the criminal case involving an attempt to assassinate the leader of the Democratic Party of Moldova, Vladimir Plahotniuc.
I confirm.
Okay, and please confirm that the panel of which you were a member sentenced 6 people to terms from 3 to 20 years in prison.
And acquitted them on some counts. I confirm.
Okay.
So on some counts they convicted, on some counts they acquitted them.
Okay. And were you ever contacted by former Supreme Court Chief Justice Jan Druta or anyone else acting on his behalf about the case?
No, I never talked to the former Chief Justice, Ion Druta, never. Physically, I saw him only at the General Assembly of Judges.
Okay. Were you ever contacted by the president of the Chișinău Court or anyone else about the case while it was pending before you, aside from persons who were permitted by law to communicate with you about the case?
I'd like to inform that I was a member of that panel. I was not the president of that panel. I was not a rapporteur, so there were no discussions with me.
Okay, given the Chișinău Court of Appeals decision of 11 November 2021, by which the defendants were acquitted, how do you consider your decision of 2 April 2018 in the case? Do you contend it was taken in accordance with the law?
Referitor la cauza dată,
About this case,
la moment ea nu este revocabilă.
It is not irrevocable now. It is on the dock of the Supreme Court now. I don't know if it's correct for us to talk about a case that is not irrevocable yet. But actually, I am willing to talk about the examination of these cases, just I'm not sure, because it's not irrevocable yet. If possible, we can announce a closed hearing and I can explain in detail the motivation, what happened, because I know how this case developed further, why it was sent for a trial. I studied this aspect. We talk only about the attempted murder, only this count, only that count. Yes, that's the main one. We're not interested in the other ones, etc. Yes, this is the main one. It's not we did not examine the attempted murder, but the preparation for this is not correctly read. And probably the media was not. We did not try attempted murder, but a preparation by an organized crime group. And I can give you many details about why we got to this decision. But I think it is ethical if we did that in a closed hearing. But I can expressly state what was our opinion on every count and how we motivated it and what was the motivation of the superior courts.
Questions, do we want to go into closed session?
We discussed earlier the law requiring a judge to inform a president of the court about improper influence on his activities. Was there any improper influence or interference in your activity from any of your colleagues, court leadership, politicians, or anyone else in relation to your examination of the case?
No.
No.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to?
Not at the stage of examining that case.
Was there at some other time?
Subsequently, after the decision was issued, it was discussed very much. But during the deliberation and until we issued the ruling, no discussions about it.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add or clarify about this issue?
Yes, I would like to explain. I would like to provide concrete explanations about this case. It is important for me. It has a great importance for me, but I don't know how correct it is for us to talk it in a public hearing, since the case is still before a court. It is not irrevocable.
I think it is better not to go into
Cred
the
că ar fi mai
details.
bine să nu intrăm în detalii.
Exactly for the reasons that you indicated this before the court, so let's not go into the details. And I think if there are no, I'm looking at Victoria, do you have any other questions on this particular issue?
I have no further questions.
You have no further. Nona, you have a question on this?
When answering one of the questions, you specifically mentioned that you were neither rapporteur or the president of the chamber. And I want to understand why you underlined this specifically. Would it make difference if you were either rapporteur or the president of the chamber?
No, I
want to specify this, saying that I want to give some clarity, to give some details. And I don't know if I can speak what I can say in an open hearing. I just want to give some details about how important, and as I see, this case was included here. I really want to explain it to all participants, for them all to know what we examined, how we examined, and why. But I don't know if that's correct. It's not a problem for me. I can express my opinion, no problem, but that can affect the image of justice. I want to express my opinion on that. Since it's part of my assessment. Pardon, Victoria, I didn't hear you.
I think it is better not to go into that discussion for the reasons that you yourself have indicated, and we fully respect that. I don't think it would be correct into closed session and then to continue that discussion. I think it would be better then not to go into the discussion.
Okay, then I would just like to make some clarification, but in some general terms to make things on. This case came to the court And there were several
despre
people
constituirea unui grup
accused
criminal
they
care
are
au avut ca
establishing a
scop
criminal group that
pregătirea atentatului
intended to
pregătirea omorului.
prepare that
În
assassination.
cadrul examinării cauzei în fond, un alt
During
prejudicat,
that,
inițial era
initially there was
examinat. O
another
persoană
judge panel, but
s-a
during
folosit
that, a
dreptul
person used the
de
right
a fi
to
examinat cauza în procedură simplificată sub prizma
have
faptului că
the
dumneavoastră recunoaște
case
că a
under
fost
simplified
membru acestui
proceedings.
grup, recunoaște toate
Since that
îndenuirile
he
în baza 364 prim, toate îndenuirile care sunt
admitted
ridicate
all
de către organul de acuzare
all the accusations
și doresc să fie
counts
aplicată
and that he
procedura simplificată.
wanted the simplified
Conform-
proceeding.
dacă se poate apă, când mai este.
Can I have some more water? There is none here.
Conform procedurii simplificate,
According to simplified
urma să fie
proceedings,
audiat.
he was supposed to be
Mulțumesc.
heard.
el urma să fie
you.
audiat
He was supposed to be heard as convicted, but only based on witness hearing conditions. So the difference between his and
este prevenit de răspundere
the
penală.
accused, because he is
Inculpatul nu
prevented
este
from
prevenit de răspundere penală. Deci,
criminal
dumnealui
liability.
a fost prevenit de răspundere penală și dumnealui a relatat în
He
detaliu
expressed in details
cum a avut loc această
how
acțiune.
this-
Aceste acțiuni cum au avut loc.
these actions took place, and the other judge panel, after they studied these aspects, decided that
cauza urmează să fie
the
disjunctată.
case had to be
Persoana este vinovată și a
split,
fost
and the
condamnată
person
real.
is guilty, and she
Ulterior,
was
fie
really
menționat
convicted, and then,
dacă mă greșesc,
if
sentința
I'm
este
not,
revocabilă.
I think that sentence, that
Fiind
verdict is
dejugat
irrevocable
cauza,
now.
în privința
When
celorlalte
it
persoane
was
a fost transmis un alt
disjoined,
un alt judecător.
that case was sent to another judge,
Și ulterior a fost format complet de
and
judecat.
later on a judge panel was
În
set.
cadrul completului de judecat,
In the
eu nu am
judge
fost
panel,
nici raportor,
I was
nici
not a
președinte.
reporter, not a president.
În urma deliberării,
After
doar că
deliberation,
diferență față de toți,
like
eu
with-
aveam cea mai mare staj
So, as
de
opposite
de muncă
to
ca
the,
judecător.
well,
În
out of the
deliberare, în urma
members, I
deliberării,
had
s-a
the largest
dispus
experience as a judge. As a result of the deliberation, it was
trei
decided to
sub învinuirile de
declare guilty
pregătire.
3 people for charges
dacă mă
of
greșesc,
preparing.
patru.
3, 4, if I'm not mistaken.
3 sau 4 erau.
3 or
3.
4? 3.
3.
Three.
De pregătirea.
For preparation of this
Sandu,
attempted.
sorry to interrupt him, but can you please wrap up what you would like to say in a very
2 secunde, vreau să
brief
explic de ce. Eu sunt foarte
comments?
schimb.
I will be very brief. I want to explain.
În privința celorlalte
With
persoane,
respect to the other
trei persoane,
people,
nu am
other three
achitat
people,
sub prisma
we
formării unui grup
acquitted
criminal cu
them
scopul de a
on counts
executa un
of
atentat.
creating a criminal
Persoanele
group
celelalte
for
trei au
attempted
fost
murder.
condamnate
The
real
other 3
pentru
people
organizarea
were
și
convicted
migrații
really
ilegale,
for organizing illegal
deoarece
migration
cadrul examinării
because
cauzei a fost constatat
during
persoane
the
eventuale,
trial
persoane
we
care urmează să
found that the
efectueze,
people
cât și careva au fost traversate frontierele de stat
some
ilegal. Și
people
persoanele au recunoscut că
traveled
ei
the
s-au
border
ocupat de aceasta,
illegally,
dar
and
ei
those
nu
people admitted that they were doing it illegally because they said that they are not part of a criminal group and they didn't know the purpose of that. Mr. Sandu, we're not talking about that. We are talking about the people who were acquitted subsequently, but you convicted for an attempted murder. This is what we are talking about.
Referitor, ulterior, când cauza a ajuns la
Subsequently, when the case got to the Court of Appeal,
sentința noastră a fost
our
totalmente anulată
verdict
și
was
persoanele
quashed and all
toate persoanele au fost
people
condamnate
were convicted
la pedepse pe toate capetele de acuzări.
on all
Achitările care
counts
mai
of
toate au fost toate
accusation,
anulate și au
all
fost
the
condamnate pe toate
acquittals that we
capetele de
had
acuzare
were
și la
cancelled,
pedepse mai
and
mari
they
decât
were all
declarat.
convicted to
Ulterior,
larger sentences
cauza
that
a
we
fost
did.
transmisă Curții Supreme,
Then
Curtea
the
Supremă
case
a
went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court sent it to retrial, and from what I understood from the media and whoever talks about it, the person who initially asked to have simplified proceedings and admitted everything. Now, that person said that he or she does not stand for the declarations anymore. Speaking about the link that you sent me 2 days ago about that news, that was a photo that no one knows about its accuracy. That was published on the day of the search. I don't know how the criminal investigation, but when this is an object of crime, when this has to be a secret of an investigation, but it got into the public. Okay, it got into the public. If you look at the entire list, because this aspect was discussed by all lawyers from Chișinău, all decisions that were mentioned in that list, all decisions had the same solution in the first, second, and third level court, upholding the only case from that list that did not have same outcome from the beginning to the end was the case that where I took part. So the sentence was quashed, and then another verdict was issued, and as it was written in the media, and how journalists wrote, very important, it will be declared inadmissible. From that list, only that decision was quashed, where I was part of. The other decisions from the list were the same from all levels. This was discussed by all lawyers in Moldova. Moreover, if someone wants to make reference to that case, we issued a legal verdict, very motivated. We had evidence, we had witnesses who were under oath making statements, and after 2 years he changed his opinion. That's not us. So I don't know, you can check my professional development before that decision, before that verdict was issued, and after, so that you can understand my evolution and the consequences of issuing that verdict. Just look, in first case, I didn't have time to read, but for the second case,
Sorry, can you please wrap up your comments on this case within the next minute, please? I think you go on with making long statements. We asked you for a brief explanation. Can you please briefly explain your comments on this case? And if you have nothing further to add, then I think we can wrap up. But I would like to give you the opportunity to very briefly wrap up your comments on this.
I have things to add. Regarding the last aspect, I just want to ask the Commission to check my professional activity from two perspectives. From a professional point of view, my activity, 8 years since I'm working as a judge, the decisions that I issued, the quality of the acts that I issue, and what was the opinion of professionals in this field. On all decisions that were discussed in the public, from a positive perspective. Secondly, if you make reference, I don't know what reason, since you make reference, please check all professionals in this field. They know, all lawyers, all prosecutors from Chișinău know, even from the Moldova, we know about it. Please check my ascension, my professional activity, my successes before that verdict was issued and after. So there will be more clarity. So I will just briefly make a reference. When I look, these documents are so much surprised I was surprised how could there be that false insurance that popped out of nowhere. And there are answers from the broker, from the insurance company. No one ever requested that. It was never done, while the National Commission of Financial Market states that this was done and cancelled. But the insurance company, the broker, said that no such insurance was issued. Like, who handled that false act? What was the purpose? I already had an insurance for unlimited number of people. Even if I had the purpose to give a card to someone, no one needed it. I could give a card to anyone to use. They did not need another insurance. Then what was the purpose and why during that period? I heard some details that now, because I saw the decision today, I heard about this in May from another candidate to this activity. And also about my cars. While I was a student, no family member was a civil servant. But someone already knew about it. So what else I noticed? Today in the morning, before the commission, I went to the bank about a question that says 388,000 lei banking card. Initially I didn't see it because I just looked what was in the bank at home. When I saw it, there were two accounts on that bank card, and that 388 is the application of the initial amount. So it should be half of that. And today I got an explanation from the bank.
Eu sper că în rest
I
a fost
hope
clar,
that
eu am făcut
otherwise I was
referire
clear.
referitor la întrebarea dumneavoastră dacă
Regarding
era
your
o activitate
question,
continuă,
if
eu am
that was a
demonstrat
continuous
activitate
activity, I
continuă.
proved it
Ea
wasn't
s-a
a continuous
întrerupt la
activity.
momentul când
It interrupted,
deja
it
noi nu mai
stopped
eram rude
when
cu
we were
persoana
not
dată. Mai
relatives
mult eu am
anymore
avut
with that
tangență.
person. I didn't
Ulterior,
have any
toate
connection with him anymore.
bunurile care au fost cumpărate
And
către
then all
familia
purchases
mea,
that were
toate au
all
fost
goods
în
purchased
scop
by
personal.
my family were done for
Și
personal
referitor
purposes.
la bunuri care au fost suportate
About
o
goods
singură dată în
imported on
2011.
once in 2011.
I'm really sorry for interrupting you again, but I think you are going back to the questions that we already discussed before, and we have wrapped up. I'm looking at my colleagues whether we have any additional questions. If that is not the case, then I would like to come closer to the end of the hearing. I would like to, as standard practice, to give you an opportunity to make a brief, and I would like to emphasize brief closing comment at the end of this hearing, and then we will wrap up. Is there anything that you would like to address this commission at this very moment? Thank you.
Da, sigur, eu vă mulțumesc pentru întrebările
I
acordate, pentru timpul
thank you
acordat,
for your
că foarte
questions.
mult
I thank you
timp
for
am
your time
petrecut
because we spent here a lot of time
împreună.
together.
Nu m-am așteptat.
I did
că va
not
fi atât de mult
expect
timp.
that it would take such a long time.
Sper că am fost succint cu
I
răspunsuri.
hope I was brief in my
cazul care apar
answers.
careva
And
neclarități,
if there is
solicit
any
ca comisia să
unclarity,
studieze
I
întrebările suplimentare.
ask
Eu
the Commission to
cu mare
send me
plăcere
additional
o să ofer
questions. It will be my
răspunsuri.
pleasure to give
Eu cred că
answers.
am demonstrat
I believe I
am integritatea mea atât din punct de vedere
proved
financiar,
my
cât și
integrity,
etic,
both financially and ethically,
Vreau să vă
professionally.
cunoașteți
I
comisiei
would like to inform
că
the
tot
Commission
corpul
that
judecătoresc dorește
the
schimbarea.
entire judiciary
câteva
wants a
persoane
change.
individuale
Maybe
care
there are
doresc, tot
some
corpul
individuals, but
judecătoresc,
altogether, all the judges together, they want
Dar mai mult
the
ca atât, această
change.
schimbare, toți trebuie să
Moreover,
fim implicați în această
we
schimbare.
all need to be involved in this change.
Eu sper
I
cât de
hope
curând posibil
As soon as
să
possible
aibă loc adunare generală.
for
Deoarece
the
mai
General
aproape
Assembly of
4 ani
Judges
zile
to take
adunare generală,
place,
judecătorul nu
because
are loc.
for almost
Judecătorii
4
nu comunică.
years there is no
Ca
General
să
Assembly,
fie
and the
la
judges don't
adunarea
communicate.
viitoare să fie
And for the
ridicate toate
next,
problemele care
at the
sunt
next
sistem
General
și sistemul
Assembly,
din
there should be
interior
raised
să
all
înceapă
issues in the
reforma.
system so that the system can start the
Totodată,
reform from the inside.
sper ca toți
I also hope
candidații
that
să treacă
all
procedura de
candidates
vetting,
would go through the
deoarece
vetting
fie
procedure to make,
pentru prima dată în istorie va fi o
because for the first
campanie
time in
electorală,
history,
să fie
there will be
dezbateri,
an electoral campaign, there should be debates and motivations and plans with long-term, short-term plans, medium-term plans, so that ultimately the judges would vote for the best and to entrust them beginning to reform the system from the inside. Thank you very much, and since we are about to have the holidays, I congratulate you on the upcoming holidays. I wish you a beautiful Christmas with your families, with your relatives, a good New Year, and let's hear about each other, only about good things.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the hearing. I thank you for answering all the questions. The Commission will now withdraw and we will take a decision hopefully within a month after the hearing of today. I hereby declare this session closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.